Oh.
Yeah, man. Have you got the link? Can you send me the link to the thing so people can listen to it? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I ain't get notifications on content no more. No, man, what? I'm trying to block the algorithm. I fully.
That's a block the algorithm.
Doing a secret recordings. Yeah, make sure, man. Couple technical difficulties early on. I need to see the title before I go in, you know. Well, I mean, you lose it. They got. Yeah,
Yeah.
Saturday.
Saturday.
Big up.
What's going on? What's going on?
Mm.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. We can hold it down, and then yeah, you do your thing, man. Handle the business. What for my thing? Yeah, just straight from up there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's calm. That's calm. Unless
Blessings, man. Blessings.
yeah, I've already YouTube. Send your YouTube link to WhatsApp still, Milo, as well.
Yeah, just got that. Yeah.
All right, calm. So, yeah, we done a report on Spac Nation Saturday, just gone Saturday, 16th of November. We covered the Let the Youngest Go protest, which was, I think, inspired or at least it was strongly pushed by TK Mad Max, who was a former member of the Spac Nation. I'd like to get to know what Spac actually stands for at some point, but we interviewed several of the young people who had been formerly members of Spac Nation. Obviously, we also interviewed Milo, who's a prominent member of the Croydon community. I'll put it like that. And he had some strong comments. So I'll probably come back to Milo and let him reiterate some of what he already said in the interview earlier on. Um, and before we get into deeper discussions, obviously, I'm going to take the stance of continuing to try my best to be impartial along, COE lines, content over everything and all that. Trying to obviously dig deeper into the story, trying to find out where everyone is. I don't know. Find out. Get everybody else's views. Let you guys put the facts on the table and let you guys make your choice or your opinion for yourself. But yeah, big up Milo. How you doing, fam? You good? Yeah.
I'm good, man. I'm good. How about yourself? You doing well?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I see after we left. I guess I'll start from here first of all. After we left, I see I saw a few videos on social media floating around of some sort of occasional conflict going on between obviously the Let the Youngest Go protests and the some of the Spac Nation members. Obviously, we didn't get that on camera ourselves. We had missed that, but it seemed like some of the police officers that we might have seen running past us when we was doing our interview
Yeah.
might have been heading towards that situation.
But do you know what? It's funny you said that because that's exactly what I was going to say to you. They were actually the same officers who responded to that incident. So, you know, we talk about it being a small world, but actually where we were doing that interview and we were trying to talk to Spac, actually where that happened was less than probably 50 yards away. So it
Yeah.
just really just shows how close, we really were to everything.
Yeah, definitely. I was thinking that myself. It looked like that area looked familiar when I was looking at it. I was like, I'm sure he was there like just before or just after that happened. Like,
Yeah, we
yeah.
were, man, we were.
Do you know anything about that incident in particular before? Yeah.
Um, I do. Look, I'm gonna keep it 100. I've said from the beginning. I'm all about just trying to come with the facts, and just trying to keep it real more than anything. And what that was is TK well within his right to do a peaceful rally, a march to raise awareness, and he was confronted aggressively. Threats were made. There's a longer video which hasn't been put out yet, but I believe is due to be put out maybe tomorrow, which gives us the full insight as to what actually happened. Um, but I mean, I've got some content as well that was sent over to me earlier on today, from that one pastor in particular, or the man masquerading as a pastor, should I say, talking to one of the women groups that they've got in their WhatsApp group. And I'm really keen sort of to get into that as well, because all of this is prevalent. I keep saying it over and over again, but these people seriously are destructive to our community, and what they're doing to our young people I worry about. And if we're not taking action, that could be your brother, that could be your sister, your niece, your nephew. And we need to not just raise awareness, but we need to start taking action, because people are being abused in mentally, emotionally, physically. I mean, the question is when does it stop? When does it stop? When do we say, as a community, as black people, that, you know what, we need to rise up against this? We need to come out of this oppression. We need to get out of this mentality, and we need to ensure that we're instilling goodness and greatness into our young people, not allowing them to become victims of circumstances.
100%. 100%. I would agree with you on everything. To be fair, on a lot of what you said anyway. Let me try and remain impartial. My bad. I agree with you on a lot of what you say in terms of regarding that as a community we do need to take a stand against things that are going wrong. However, on the other side of things, to put it to you, some might say, you know, they are still having massive turnout to their church services. They seem to be going on social media on all their accounts. They just keep posting new videos of new sessions of church. And today, one of the lead pastors, I think, Pastor Samuel, he seems to be recruiting people for job roles. He's offering £500 a week for one particular job, and I can't remember what the other job was. A job as his PA. So I mean, they seem to be unworried by the allegations, and they seem to be going on recruiting members and having massive turnouts.
I think if you believe that they're not worried, I think maybe you should have a look again. I think there's a reason why he's posted that online. There's a reason why he's put money up there as well, you know. And I really think people need to be really cautious. With Spac Nation, some of these videos that you see that they're putting out, they're not new. These are old archive videos that they're putting out now. I mean, if you go and check their Spac Nation YouTube page out, I think Kevin did a video, did an interview with the BBC over a year and a bit ago now. But it's actually, sorry?
Was that a knife crime one?
No. This was on BBC Breakfast with Nagamoncelli and Dan.
Okay.
This was over a year ago, a year and a bit ago, but it looks as if it was only done 2 months ago, which even less than that when it was put up. So I think we first of all just need to be careful on taking the content that's being put out as being live content and content that's up to date. This is all part of the charade, you know, and you've got to understand this. It's a sham. That's what it is. All of this is a sham, and their only way to act as if they're not bothered is to continue on as if nothing's going on. But they are clearly rattled, and you could see that from what happened with the altercation with TK. You could see that even down to, you know, they were aware of what was going on in regards to the rally. You know, if you're not worried, why are you even concerning yourself with that? You're worried because you're aware that there's a movement going on that you can't control anymore. And as I said to you from a long time ago, you know, for me, it's about saving our young people. It's about instilling a positive message in our young people, but also being real with our young people as well. You know, being rich doesn't just come like that. All right, that's the first thing that, you know, we need to get over, that no one's instantly rich. Not everybody is meant to be rich in this life. The same way not everyone is supposed to stand at the front of a church and be a pastor. But people are giving themselves these self-appointed roles. They're telling these young people, brainwashing them into thinking that this is a reality, what they're seeing for a day or a few hours in an evening. And it's not. And this is what we need to be warning our young people about. Hard work breeds success. Not flipping money, not doing fraud, not shotting weed or whatever it is. Hard work. And the truth is who's really going to put that word out?
No, I hear you. There's some. Let's get into some of the things you mentioned a bit earlier. So you talked a little bit about camps and some of the girl camps and stuff like that they have. And we've seen a little bit in social media. I think a lot more came out today in regards to text messages, and I think we've seen videos and almost like Periscope sermons where people seem to be getting like hours of like pep talking at them. Can you tell us a little bit about anything you know about that?
Yeah, I can tell you a bit about that. What would you like to know? Let's go into it. Let's dig deep. What do you want to know?
Well, I mean, what are these camps about? First of all, let's get into that.
Okay, so we'll talk about one of them, the love line, for example. These lines here, they're built by the pastors, okay, and they're in competition with each other. It's almost like a marketing strategy. It's a marketing tool. They're getting these young people in these trap houses. They're in the groups, okay, and the one pastor is the head of the house or the leader of it, and they're all encouraged amongst themselves in competition to build more money or build a larger seed. Okay, but what people aren't seeing, what people aren't understanding, is the fact that young women especially are being abused abhorrently in ways that I just don't even think you could even imagine. And the biggest thing that I saw and I've been made aware of and I've seen directly with my own eyes from the person who it was sent to, okay, is a man. I mean, is this an okay platform to discuss some of these messages that I've got in front of me now?
Yeah. I mean, content likes it live and direct. You don't like no sugarcoating. So go for it.
Okay, let's go for it, man. So I was looking at some of the messages, and these come from Pastor Pastor Samuel Akoya. He's that same gentleman that we saw at the TK sort of altercation. Um, let me just give you the first little line, and then we can sort of get the kind of gist of it. But it gets deeper. Listen, girls, let me tell you all something now. I'll kick all your slow asses out of this house 10 times over. If you want to follow, you will keep using your stupid asses and continue talking. Like all of you sound so fucking stupid, like dumb bitch idiots who have no sense in their head. What makes you think you have the ability to discuss any pastors? None of you have shown up to that level. Let's just stop there. Let's just stop there. Are you telling me that this is, first of all, an appropriate way for any pastor to talk to anybody? Secondly, for any man to talk to any woman? But this is what's going on in these trap houses. These young women, they're away from their families. They're isolated. And when you're in isolation, the abuse that these young women have to suffer is shocking. But again, these you people want to say, oh, this is a smear campaign against Spac Nation. These are words written directly from people calling themselves pastors, masquerading as pastors, and the messages get worse. So at what point where in scripture does it talk about men can talk this way to women? At what point is it that a man, or a man masquerading as a pastor, feels entitled enough to talk to any woman in such a way? Yo,
I fell out there. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you, man. What's going on?
Ah, cool. Sorry about that. Yeah, yeah. So you saw these messages directly. You saw the person they were sent to, and you
I've
seen them
seen
in
the
the.
message directly.
Yeah.
Seen
Okay.
them directly in the group chat.
Mm.
And the sickening thing is that these messages get worse. I'll continue. Know your rank. You think you really have the ability to talk about someone that feeds you all? Are you sick? You are all the definition of poverty, if you ask me. I don't care what you've got to say or whatever reason you're talking. Don't put generals in your mouth. So they've gone from pastors to generals.
Mm.
What I'm talking about here is I'm merely just trying to raise the awareness to the point where people wake up and realize what is going on here is it's abuse. It is absolutely shocking abuse, and we're not talking about it enough. There's not enough platforms talking about it, and a big shout out to you guys for making this relevant and continuing to push it. But the facts of the matter is do people care enough to want to do something about it? It's all well and good sitting there, listening to the content, watching the videos, going on the Instagram lives, but how much do people care enough to want to actually get up in action and do something about this?
Mm. I
That's
mean,
my question.
I hear you. Do you feel like, I mean, Spac Nation was lauded by a lot of mainstream media, and like you said, there was on
Hmm.
BBC, Breakfast with Nagman Che, there was on Victoria Derbyshire, all of these things. Do you think those platforms have a particular uh, responsibility to
Of course they have a responsibility. Of course they do. And as I said to you, these organizations that have decided to put Spac Nation out there didn't do their due diligence. They didn't have a full understanding of what Spac Nation was really about. Now, if we break it down, it's a wonderful thing that an organization wants to take young people off the streets. That is brilliant. And they were doing it in the masses. But the question becomes, at what cost? At what cost?
why do
So
you,
it's sorry.
why do you think the media was so easily duped and didn't do their due diligence and just were so quick to accept this?
Because I think the media had had enough of reporting on knife crime. They'd had
Mm.
enough of knowing that they're out, that, hearing people constantly in the media talking about they need to get a grip on this city. They need to get a grip on the amount of young people being killed. I think that's why. And I think the first opportunity they had, and
Mm.
Spac Nation, they decided to put themselves out there. And as I said, I wasn't, I want to be clear on this. I was never against Spac Nation when they started, but I always questioned the methods of how they managed to bring so many young people at such a verve. For me, that for me was the big question. And the more I did my research, the more I did talking, the more I got involved, you know, the more I started to see that actually it was questionable methods, and it wasn't honesty and integrity that was going to bring these people to the church. It was false promises, debt, and eventually these young people, I dread to think, but uh, suicide. I can see it happening. I can actually see it happening, and God forbid it does. But I can see this happening, because the reality is that for a lot of these young people outside of SPAC, they haven't got anything else.
Mm,
So when SPAC shuts down, where do they go?
mm. I mean, how does it happen? I mean, I suppose some of these young people would have come from, really vulnerable situations, care homes, and so on and so forth. But surely not all of them. I mean, what has happened to a lot of their families? Was it just complete breakdowns of families, or how has it happened that so many of them could be sucked in? And how many is the number of Spac Nation? Because I've heard wild numbers as high as, in the thousands, and then I've heard others of just in the hundreds. I mean, do you have any clue of this?
Okay, so at their highest point, I think they had about 1,600-700 members at their highest point. I think now they're probably raking in about 250. And we're talking about core, hardcore members. In regards to sort of where do these young people come from? You know, they're not. You're right. Not everybody is vulnerable. Not every young person does come from a broken home. But what they do as an organization is isolate you from your family. If your family don't go SPAC, then you shouldn't be talking to them, because they're not supporting what SPAC wants. And for me, that's another concerning message. Yesterday, I heard a young man telling me about how he blocked his mum. He blocked his mum's phone number. He moved out of his home, moved into a trap house, blocked his mum's number, didn't have a relationship with his mum for over a year. How sad is that? How sad is that, the fact that somebody's grip and hold over you, and your belief in the cause is as such that you're willing to turn your back on your own family? What we're talking about here isn't just people coming from broken homes, it's people being broken mentally by going to Spac Nation. So are these people vulnerable? Absolutely, because a lot of them haven't got a clue. They
I hear you.
don't know what they're walking into. And these pastors, these ministers masquerading as both male and female, they're well aware of what they're doing. This is just a marketing strategy, looking at using young people just to raise seed for their so-called father, who I refer to as Toby.
All right. Well, we'll get back into PT, and I'll pick up on what you've been saying. We'll pick up. I just inform everyone, all the new watchers we've got in the building. If you guys want to hit the like button and show some support, we are reporting on Spac Nation today. We're just doing a little discussion following our report on Saturday night, in which we went down and covered the Let the Youngest Go protest, and we followed and we went up to the Spac Nation where they were holding their session in the conference hall, and we tried to speak to them there. I see Content of Everything has now shared the link, so if you guys do want to jump in and ask Milo some questions, because Milo is here, he's a part of the Let the Youngest Go protest, or at least he was there supporting it. And he's very passionate. So if you guys want to come and you have to ask any questions yourselves directly, feel free to jump in. If not, feel free to ask questions from the comments. Just drop a comment in the live in the chat, and I'll ask that to Milo. But yeah, let's bring it back to where we just left off. Pastor Toby, or who you refuse to call a pastor, just Toby. Yeah, obviously there's been conversations and allegations as to how much he might be aware or unaware, and if he was like sort of innocent pastor in which some of the youngest underneath him have taken advantage of. Obviously, in my interview with TK, he said that's definitely not the case, that he's aware and that TK told him some stuff. What do you know about Pastor Toby?
What I know of Toby is quite a lot, to be honest with you. And since the interview, I've had more people actually reach out to me. And as I said, I've had direct dealings and indirect dealings with Toby. Now, let's just be clear on this. Toby knows what's going on, but he thinks he's smart by not putting his name on legal documentation. He thinks he's smart by not directly involving himself with the young people who, it's a pyramid to me. It's a pyramid who are at the bottom of the pyramid. Okay, he has his, and it's referred to by Samuel as generals. He has his generals who he confides in and who report back to him. He's well aware of what's going on. He sets the targets for these young people, for these so-called pastors to reach, and these young people are the feeders, and that's it. So for him, what it is if and not if, when this all comes down, for him is going to be, well, I didn't know the church has this many members, this, that, and the other. Well, let me tell you something. If you're leading a church or a so-called church and you don't have control over what's going on within your organization, why are you even running it? Why are you sitting in that position if you have no idea what's going on? It's almost like me being a CEO of an organization and saying, well, I don't know what's going on in the company, but I'm still the CEO. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And I think anybody who's got, you know, a little bit of I wouldn't even call it common sense, but knowledge and know-how about them will understand that. This is nothing more than him just trying to remove himself from the negativity. But the truth is he bred the negativity. This is all because of him.
I hear you loud and clear. I've heard a lot. I mean, we'll come back to talking about Toby in a second, but I've heard a lot of talk about charges and investigations going on, and I've heard a lot of allegations put forth, and heard that there's a lot of evidence behind these allegations. Do you think charges are going to be brought about, and what kind of charges do you think will be brought about, and do you think they can and will go as high as Toby?
Well, let's look at it first of all. Okay, we've got banks involved in fraud. So we've had banks that have been defrauded, which in itself is a criminal offence. We've got young people who are now being sought out by Universal Credit and these banks to repay these loans. Now, these young people, whether or not some of them knew, some of them didn't know about these loans, we're talking not just bank loans, we're talking payday loans, we're talking guarantor loans. These young people, they're gonna have a story. They're gonna have, it's more than just John applied for a loan and that was it. John was enticed to take the loan by someone, and there's going to be messages, and there's going to be a trail. And the fact of the matter is will it go as high as Toby? Do you know what? I think this is the point now where the people who have been submerged in this fraud really need to step out from the shadows now. And if Toby manages to get away with this, I think it will be one of the saddest days, I think, for me as a member of the black community to see that yet again, you know, we've had someone within our own community break the trust, defraud our young people, and leave them broke, destitute, and with what? Nothing. You know, these trap houses that they're running at the moment, set up under young people who have got clean records, but they're not living in them. They're not the people running these houses. The people with criminal records are the people running the houses. You know, the universal credit is getting paid to these young people to live there because they're renting a room or what have you, but they're sharing rooms with people they shouldn't be sharing with. People who've got criminal records who, if due diligence was done and the correct procedures were followed, these young people wouldn't be living there. Universal credit wouldn't be supporting that.
When do you think charges will be brought about?
I think I think that's a question that I say that's a question. I think that's something that we can influence. When I I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, the truth of the matter is, articles are now being written. The Daily Mail recently dropped a story 2 days ago.
No?
Um,
I
sorry.
think it was on the front page as well.
Yeah, it was. Uh, you're also looking at, you know, the Labour Party have also waded into this. The Conservative Party themselves now are saying that they're doing their own internal investigation. But I'm going to say this about the Conservatives. So, and I don't want to go off on a political tangent. I
That's
just want
big,
to be
isn't it?
clear again.
Yeah. I'm back now still.
Is this, when has the Conservatives ever really been in touch with what's been going on with the real community? And when I talk about the real community, I'm talking about our community. I can't speak on the issues in other communities because that's not for me to deal with. That's not for me to try and solve or try and find solutions to. I'm only interested in what's going on in my community. And when I look at what the Conservative Party did, I think, first of all, it, it wasn't only shambolic what they did. I think they were false. They manipulated people, and they tried to use and I said to you in the interview, they tried to use Jade as the face, and it's completely backfired. And like I said, politics has no place whatsoever in faith. Faith is separate to politics, and the fact that they tried to use that as a way to try and entice more votes to show that they were in touch with the community, they've got no idea whatsoever. And the
Hey,
fact that
yo.
Boris Johnson even went, hello.
Yeah. I know, just a brief interruption still. Yeah, I want man to touch on the politics thing still, car. I'm interested in if there's been any like official statement from the Conservative Party in regards to this matter?
I think
Yeah,
Mala was.
definitely.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Where's it come out? What did they say?
Well, from what I understand, and from what I've read, the shadow minister, that's Labour minister,
Yeah. Who that? John
has
McDonnell.
said that yep, has said that this echoes the Rotherham abuse scandal.
Mad thing.
How sad is that? How sad is that?
Where did he say that though? Where did he say that? Did he say that to them like that? Was it in Prime Minister's questions or something? I want to know
He
if they.
reported this
I want to know
directly.
if they. I want to know if they've acknowledged it publicly. You get me? The Conservatives, cause it looked crazy, them sitting like 2 seats away from Boris Johnson, while all of this is going on. You get me? Like,
Yeah. No, I think I haven't seen recent ones. I'm looking right now. I haven't seen recent ones from the Conservative, but I do know. But like I have seen back earlier on this month, 5th of November, there was an article in Inside Croydon where it was saying that the Croydon leader, the Conservative councillor of the Tories, said there was no relationship with the church, no special relationship with the church or any religious groups, and that applies to Spac Nation and many others, basically.
when was that? When was that?
That was 5th of November.
Mad thing. But she's running for when was she running for the Conservatives thing? When that just the other day after that was after that, and I like.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she was still running at that point.
I don't make no sense. We're talking about no special relationship. How can you run as a Conservative and not have no relationship with the Conservatives?
They went on to say the only relationship between Spac Nation and the Conservatives is that Jade is a member of both.
Okay. So we're saying they're saying like
Well,
she just happens to be a member of Spac Nation, like she just happens to be a member of Conservatives, but there's no. So I was my man. I did Toby get to be in the Conservative conference the other day. He was there as well, and I like.
he inserted himself there.
Yeah.
As simple
I
as
mean,
Where's,
And I think
is it open to the public? Can anyone in the public just go there, or you have to have an invite?
within
you
this
have to have an invite, but you can make a request. You can make a request, and as such, you made a request with Jay to go along as her +1. And I think the reality
Okay.
is that when we look at this, people are desperate to see an organization in the community getting young people out of gang crime and turning their life around. And the truth is that we've been presented with conflicting evidence, with what's said about this organization, and for me, what's really going on is that is recriminalizing those young people at their own advantage, and that's the reality of it. And we, we need to 100% wake up to what's going on. Jade was a political pawn. It was a power move by Toby to further entrench himself into the political party, because for him, once you've got that political power, that political status, you have that feeling and sense of being untouchable. Oh well, I'm protected by the Conservatives. Why do you think he chose to run with the Conservatives?
I'm
That's
wondering.
what I want to know. What's the
Well, let me come to that, and I want to challenge you on a few things regards to that. But if you sharing my image here, you're sharing it right now. Have you seen this image here? It says there's no special relationship. Yeah, at the same time,
It's not being shared on like the audience can't see. I'm gonna get it up so the audience can see as well. But yeah, continue to talk in the meantime.
cool. It says there's no special relationship, but you have Tim Pollard here, who is the lead counsellor of the Korean Conservatives, and he's there right at Spac Nation gathering, meeting Toby there. And he said, and he tweeted about it actually afterwards. He said, I was very excited about the passion for change and self-development I felt in the room. So it seems like this relationship has been growing for some time prior to Jade running for councillor. And it
Who's
seems
saying
like
that? Who's talking?
that was Tim Pollard. That's the leader of the Conservative councillors in Croydon.
Martin.
Yeah. So that was
what does that tell you? What does that
Jade,
tell you? The fact that
that
they're
was Jade
talking
out
on
campaigning.
this. What does it tell you? I mean, look at it for what it is. He's made that very bold statement in relation to Spac Nation, but actually we know different. And this is the thing, what Spac Nation want to show and what's really going on behind the closed doors are two very different things. And this is what we're talking about, waking up the masses. And this is what we need to do, is wake up the masses. We need to stop being sold this dream Get out of this poverty mindset and understand that as black people, we are capable of achieving. We are bigger than our circumstances. And actually, do you know what? There's no reason why a child who's born today who's white and a child who's born black can't achieve the same. I understand that they have difficulties and different life obstacles to negotiate and navigate. But from when did it become that somebody like Toby would instill that in young people as to what their worth is? Toby has to, Toby
I
is a
might know what I'm
failed
saying.
man. That's what Toby.
What I'm saying. I'm supposing that you've heard the expression behind every fortune there's a crime.
Mm.
To
Of course.
play the advocate. I don't want to say the devil's advocate because I don't know about devils. You get me? But to play the advocate, imagine that every quote unquote successful established institution that man can imagine has got like a history of criminality behind it in its foundations. You get me? Who's to say that it's just a necessary part of becoming successful and wealthy and becoming powerful and influential in this world, that you have to go through some type of crud, and the only difference we're noticing is that these men are doing it on a petty level where we're able to detect them, whereas the people them who's in power right now, they just know how to hide in it, like, or the system set up in a way where they can do the offshore banking and all of these type of things that who was it? Raven said he dropped one quote the other day on one video that I filmed. He said, poor people commit crimes, but rich people commit crimes that make communities poor in the first place.
Mm.
So I don't know. I don't know if you believe that man can really reach like levels of success, high levels of success, where like whole communities can be benefiting from it. Like in
So what you're
regards
saying to me is, okay, so what you're saying to me is that we need to sell
suggestion,
out
just a
our integrity.
suggestion. No
Yeah.
Yeah,
way,
cool,
no
but
way,
from
no way.
no, no, no. But
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah. I hear what you're saying
but this
still, but
this, this is what it comes down to. You're
okay,
talking about selling out integrity. That's
yeah.
the first thing we're talking about. Am I disagreeing with a lot of what you've just said? No, absolutely not. I've worked in corporate.
Yeah.
I've seen the wrong. I've been a victim to people racial profiling, being the so-called angry black man in the office because I don't agree with certain things that I see and I speak out against it.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Is there a level of criminality in a lot of organizations? I'd hate to say yes, but probably yeah, there is. But the thing is that when that criminality is hitting right on the front line, and we're talking young people, because that's all I'm passionate. That's where my passions lie, is with young people. I'm about bettering our young people, giving them a vision, giving them a focus, and helping them to attain their greatness. That's what I'm about. I'm not about exploiting young people, asking them to sell out their values and principles, because a lot of these young people come lost to these places. They've got no idea who they are. They've got no understanding of self-identity. So they will be easily led. So what we're basically saying is that this next generation is going to be bred on that mindset. So maybe you are right. Maybe the next generation will be like this. Maybe every element of any organization that they maybe will run or have entrepreneurs or whatever will have a level of criminality. But I don't accept that as that being the only way that success can come about, by having criminality or an element of criminality. Honesty and integrity isn't expensive. It's free.
mm-hmm.
So when we talk about, oh, poor people commit crime and rich people benefit from it, to a degree, yeah, you're right. But how much of that are we putting onto others and not taking self-ownership and taking
Yeah,
acceptance of
yeah, yeah, yeah,
actually
yeah.
our own actions and what's going on within our own community? We know what's going on is wrong. How many of us really will speak out against it? Not many. People are too afraid these days to speak out when they see wrong, through fear of retribution, through fear of reprisal, or just fear of being different. You know, you look at people even today on things like Instagram. How many people have got famous off Instagram from trolling?
Yeah. I only
So,
know store
you know,
ain't too active on Instagram, but could imagine
but
yes
this is,
that.
I'm telling you, it's a lot of people. So what we're talking about is people are selling out,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and and I don't accept
There's
that.
no
I don't accept.
I done a show. I done a show. Car. I'm actually on your side on this thing still.
I
I
was
done a
gonna
show
say
the other
content.
day
That's what I'm saying.
on a sellout thing where I'm believing right now the people them who's trying to advocate for doing good and quote unquote righteousness are on a back foot right now. You get me? Where as it's the what's being glamorized and like mainstream and pushed as acceptable or expected behavior, especially from black people, is like decadency. Kind of the reason how come Spac Nation is even attractive in the first place. Like they're glamorizing, what's the word? Like indulging in high fashion and all of these type of things. You get me? These entrappings. You get me?
Yeah.
Like this is what's promoted as attractive as what we're supposed to be aiming for. You get me? Where I'm saying in the process of putting those things at such a high pedestal, it's like we have to compromise our integrity in order to attain those things. You get me? But no one ain't really talking.
100%.
No one ain't really talking about doing good because it's good, rather than behaving in order to get something out of it at the end of the day. You get me? So yeah, I'm like, theoretically, I'm with what you're saying still, but I'm just proposing. I like to look at reality. You get me, sir? I want to consider
Um,
all of the different possible angles before I just express what I believe is right. You get me? And say let's examine all the arguments and
of
see if
course,
there's any truth in them. You get me? Before man just dismiss them. You get me?
Yeah.
of course. But the world that we're living in today, right? It doesn't it doesn't teach us to be honest. It doesn't, even down to schools. These young people, they go to school to be educated, but what are they really learning in school? They're not learning the real things in life, the life skills, the valuable things that are going to take them forward in life. Understanding what a credit score is, understanding what a bank account is, understanding mental health awareness, understanding abuse. They teach kids about sex, but they don't teach them about relationships. But then we wonder why domestic abuse is so prevalent in today's society. There's a lot of areas within schools and education where they're not doing their role for young people. They're not supporting young people in regards to being able to attain to this better level of self. So it's not just, I can't just blame Spac Nation, because it isn't just a Spac Nation issue. This is a whole community issue. We are failing our young people. We are failing them miserably. And we have to take accountability and responsibility for that. And the truth of the matter is what action are we doing to try and improve our communities, to develop growth, to develop understanding, to create opportunity, to create business opportunities, and if you want to call it wealth, then call it wealth. But I don't believe that that's what people should be attaining to as wealth. I think you should be attaining to self-mastery. That's something very different. And when you have self-mastery and you understand what that truly is, you will understand that the value of a pound is nothing merely than just something that the government prints on a piece of paper or on a piece of metal.
Yeah. 100.
You should,
Yeah,
the fact that people, sorry, go on.
no, go. Finish off. You're saying.
The fact that people think that today, that this whole, and you just said it a minute ago about glamorizing this materialistic fashion and cars and all this kind of stuff. What is it? What is it really? A car is a depreciating asset. What are the clothes? Nothing more than what's in season now for the summer, but then by winter you're broke, but you're still rocking that same clothes. And these people who see you in these nice clothes in summer expecting the same again in winter. So how are these people now able to now afford this lifestyle? They're not. So they're not turning to crime. They're turning to other ways to try and make quick money in order to keep up the facade.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, until you find peace within yourself, until you understand who you really are, and this is what I'm talking about when it comes to understanding self. How many of us really understand who we really are?
So how you go about
That's
explaining
what
that? How to do that?
I think it's about finding peace within yourself. It's about waking up and being good, being honest. As I said, acting with integrity. I'm not saying you have to be a Christian. I think it's about being spiritual. I think when you've got that level of spirituality within yourself and you understand the world we live in, you understand the difficulties. Don't look at this world as full of problems. Look at what solutions can you bring to this world? What solutions can you bring to your community? What solutions can you bring to that young man that you see every day you walk past? It's about challenging yourself to be better and do better. It starts with you, okay? And if you yourself aren't in that place, then I don't think you should be in a place standing on a stage talking to people. You shouldn't be on a stage telling people how they should live their life. Yes, we all have our struggles, but the truth of the matter is a lot of us are in conflict, giving direction. And the joke of it is we go to people to solve our problems. And the joke of it is people have got problems they can't even solve themselves. So how is anyone else going to solve your problems for you?
You talking about now
It's an old.
the preachers and them in relation to that, or just in
I'm
general?
talking about preachers and people in general. You have
Mm-hmm.
to understand you are your own rescue. Only you will find your way through your circumstances. Yes, people are there to support you, but it's you that has to do that. And like I said to you, when I talk about self-mastery is a discipline. It's a self-discipline. How many of us really have that self-discipline?
Yeah, it's not an easy
Yeah,
thing still.
yeah, it's not that many.
Discipline ain't a simple thing still, cause obviously if it was easy, then everyone would be doing right in it, or at least what they believe is right in it. But I hear you still. It would definitely be easier for everybody to be more disciplined if it was the mainstream narrative being encouraged. You get me? Whereas I said, it seems to be the decadency what's encouraged, especially in the black community, quote unquote black community. Man's glamorizes fuckery. You get me? That's behavior that's
Of course.
detrimental to us. You get me?
Of course, but this is why they use words like black on black violence. I think that is the most sickening thing that you can ever use to describe what's going on, especially within London. It's a national issue, but I'm interested in what's going on in London, where I live. Okay, it doesn't exist, and I said it to you in an interview, and I'll say it again. Anyone who uses that phraseology and terminology, right? Don't be around me. Do not be around me, because this just says to me, you've allowed yourself to be sold and sucked into this media propaganda. And this is what it is. It's propaganda. These organizations, the BBC, they know what they're doing when they put out these documentaries, when they're glorifying these organizations. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly who they're trying to target, and they know exactly what they're doing. And they're not being held to account. But it's people like your platform are the ones that are really in the heart of the community, that really know what's going on and have a level of understanding. But my question is how come the power of what you're doing is much greater than what the BBC is doing, but I don't understand why you don't have twice the subscribers? Tell me that. I don't understand that. Because the way we've been conditioned is we believe the propaganda that we're told. What we're told we believe. Simple as that. And people aren't willing to challenge the status quo.
Hey, break down your stance on the black on black thing when you hear black on black. How come it gets
Okay,
you up?
why does it get me so upset? Okay, well, the first thing I'm going to say to you is, and this is to the listeners as well, when people say knife crime, and I say, imagine that as a person. If I say knife crime or perpetrator of knife crime, what's the first thing most people think of if I said, describe what that person looks like? What's the color of their skin?
Black brother.
Most people will say, of course. When 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 did knife crime become only a black issue?
It's never been that.
Thank you. But the media will portray it as such. When a white man kills a white man, they don't call it white on white violence. When an Asian man kills an Asian man, they don't call it Asian on Asian violence. So why do we think it's acceptable as a community for the media to use that tag and title for the issues that are going on within our disenfranchised community? That's my question.
Mm-hmm. I don't really know if I hear black people saying black on black violence too much though. When man's talking about um violence within our communities. I don't know.
I don't think you do say that much, but I think it does get said sometimes. But I think from listening, even from listening from that argument he makes there, and actually visiting in retrospect, I do have to wonder, how did we ever allow the media to get away with even creating that sort of
My
phrase?
point. Exactly.
As what I'm saying in relation to that anyway. See, like how you were saying, how come this platform ain't got as many subscribers and all of them thing there. I'm saying part of our problem is that we don't build our own institutions for us to access information that we need. You get me? Information that's relevant to us from our own perspective. You get me? That we can deliver in a format that we're acceptable with, because we decided that, like, all the decisions that's to do with meeting our needs and requirements as human beings living on this planet, if we don't take care of those of meeting those needs and aspirations, then we're gonna be under the control of whoever else is doing it for us. You get me? And when I say doing it for us, I'm not even saying that they're necessarily going to be doing it in our favor, because a lot of the time when somebody depends on you, you're able to manipulate them in order to get something of benefit for your own self. You get me? So
Of
until
course.
until man take the initiative, like you were saying earlier, to be responsible for your own situation, and until man get that in man's mentality as like a primary and consistent thought throughout your days, then we're always going to be subject to other people's definitions of us and plans for us. You get me? So really and truly, basically, what I'm saying is, it's on us. It's on those of us who know better to set up these institutions and drill it to our peoples, so that we make it popular. We set the narrative. We set the tone of how we want to be considered, because we're doing it ourselves. You get me? Rather than just looking
Yeah,
at
we
what
set.
other people are doing and just complaining. Just look what they're doing. Look at what effect it's having on us.
Of course. Of
Yeah.
course, it's one thing to set the narrative, it's another thing to challenge the narrative that's being told about us as well, especially by people who don't understand the issues that affect our community. And this is what really upsets me, is the fact that the BBC, the ITV, these corporations seem to have such quite a lot to say in regards to what's going on in our community. But I can guarantee you, not one of them know what it really is to be on the ground in our community. They don't understand the poverty. They don't understand the real issues that our young people face. And I think also goes down to an education. How many of us really understand where we come from as a people? And I'm going to say this because I said this to a guy the other day, and we went back and forth, and I really felt like when we spoke, we really connected. But the reality is that if you look within the Asian community, right, the Asian community, they understand where they come from. You look at the Chinese community, they know where they come from. They understand their holidays. The same with the Asian culture, right? But let's talk about the black community. How many of us really understand our history and our heritage? We're willing to call each other
Mm,
niggers on a regular, right?
mm,
But we don't have any understanding of what that word really means. But I guarantee you, 95% of those people who use that word nigger wouldn't dare use that word in front of their grandparents.
Yeah. That's real stuff.
But the reality is that on the roads, when they're talking to each other, oh
Standard
yeah, my
procedure.
nigga this, my nigga that, right? Of course. But if a white man uses that word, oh, we're ready to fight now. Oh, we're ready to throw down. But us using that word teaches him to use that word. And this is the thing that we need to break, is this cycle. We're only oppressing ourselves by using that language. That was a word given to us by a white man to further oppress us. We weren't human beings. We and the sad thing is that because we don't understand who we are, where we come from, how the hell can we know where we're going?
100%, man. And the thing is, that's something that we've said in the community for a long time in regards to knowing where we're from and where we come from to know in order to know where we're going. And it's something that we actually really do, like you're saying, even need to start acting on. Do you know what I mean? We do have a lot of armchair activists and armchair revolutionists. Something that you said even in the interview. And yeah, it's something in the community that definitely needs to turn around, and that knowledge of self is key and vital. Especially, I mean, when we talk about some of these young people in terms of Spac Nation and stuff like that, and when we say not all of them come from broken homes, the people who come from totally good homes and still lack that knowledge of self and could fall in positions where they could be naive or just susceptible to that vulnerability of looking for something, especially as Black people. I think we forget how much colonization and that history has done to us in terms of making us feel like we lack a history or culture or knowledge. That knowledge of self is completely gone. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. Uh, um, yeah, I just
I
want to say,
challenge anybody. No, I agree, bro. I totally agree, and I challenge anybody to tell me what I'm saying is wrong, because it's not nice to hear, but it's the reality. It's the reality. Every day when I get on that train and go to work, I hear that word being thrown about. If it's not being thrown about, then I'll hear it on the weekend. And the sad thing is that these people don't have an understanding, and this is what it simply comes down to. And until we educate ourselves and we understand who we are as a people, the capabilities we have as a people, And the power we have, if we rose up as a people, we will continue to stay stuck. It's as simple as that. It's all well and good us talking and saying this, that, and the other, but how many people are ready to start actioning their words? How many people are ready to start standing up and saying, you know what? I'm not going to accept this for myself anymore. I'm not going to accept this for my brother, my sister. I'm not going to accept this for my best friend. You know, it's time that we started waking up and seeing the capabilities that we have. You know, there is enough brilliant minds out there, fantastic minds out there, who by now we should have black owned banks, black owned farming, but we don't. But part of that is also down to the education that we're given in school. And we look at the word history, his story, it's the white man's story. They tell us Alexander Bell created the telephone. That's not true. Do you know who created the telephone? Do
Who is,
either one of you know?
Can't remember
Sorry?
his name. We saying one black brother.
Does anyone know?
did he work for
Can't remember.
Alexander, brother?
Say
Did he
again.
work for Alexander Bell? His name was Lewis Howard Latimer. That was the man who created the telephone and also the light bulb too.
Mm.
But you will never know that until
Where you
you
learn that
go and
from?
do
Where you
your
learn that from?
research. And my own research, my brother, because this is the thing. I
And I
don't
was told
accept
that as
what's
well,
fed
you
to
know.
me.
I was told that at
Th-
Sunday school, but you know the way I forget that. That was a long time ago. But I heard this as well. But
You have
Mm-hmm.
listen. If you're listening to what you're being told in their schools about us as a people and believing that the white man is the one that gives us the opportunity and we should be grateful because we are there. No, that's not the case. You need to go away and do your own education. That's the only way you can be educated. You need to ask the questions. Well, I was told that this man made. How do you know? How do you know? Hidden Figures. Do you remember that film that came out, Hidden Figures?
yeah.
You
The
doing about
film
hidden
about the
colors?
four black women.
Hidden
No,
figures.
Hidden
Hidden
Figures.
Figures. Two black women that were the coders behind for
The
the
IBM system for NASA.
yeah.
Yeah.
But this is a story that's taken nearly 60 years to come out.
Mm. And there's nothing
And
like
this is what I'm talking about. Sorry?
you're saying going back to Lewis Howard Latimer that still haven't come out onto the
Of
mainstream.
course. Of course, but this is the thing. I'm telling you, if you were sitting in a school and you were being told that a black man created the telephone, the thing that you now use that's evolved into an iPhone, a Samsung, Android, or whatever, how many people would be inspired by that?
No, that's
How
true.
many people would be? So, like I said to you, I go past Spac Nation. This goes down to the education that our young black people are getting. They're being misinformed. But the thing is that we accept that. We accept the story we're told, the history we're told, and we believe that, well, if that's how it is, then you know what, this is how it's always going to be. And that's not the case.
Yeah.
You
All
need
right.
to educate. And we have a responsibility as grown folk to be educating these young people. It's plain and simple.
Yeah. I would agree. Let me do that content does and let me try and introduce some disagreement into the position because I have a lot of what you're saying. I think we agree on a lot of these stuff challenges and things. But I think possibly, and even draw back to Spac Nation and just the political part there, and to challenge you a little bit there because you asked the question on what would the Conservatives or what they do with a thing like Spac Nation. But I would argue that the Conservative Party have tried to infiltrate the black community via the church a few times before. I mean, I remember seeing David Cameron give a massive speech, Black Church Conference Church. It was quite different to Spac Nation, of course. It seemed to be actual churches. But it will tie into what you were just talking about there. Trust me, with what I'm saying. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So the Conservative Party have tried to reach out to the black community in regards to the church for a while, and there's an argument to say that a lot of black people and black communities, especially those who come from perhaps West African backgrounds and so on and so forth, and are close to the church, do have naturally more conservative ideals and politics.
Is that a question or a statement?
And I'm asking, would you say that? Yeah, I'm challenging your question on what the Conservatives have to do, why the Conservatives would be interested in Spac Nation. Is that me?
Whose phone's that ringing? Look, I think, like I said, when you want to become relevant and you're coming up to a vote, and this is political, this is all political. They understand the power of the young people. The vote swings with young people. So they're aligning themselves, but I don't believe that at all. The Conservatives, you tell me, okay, this is my question then. My question to you. You tell me the last Conservative MP or councillor you have seen who has actively been working in the black community for, let's say, 12 months straight. You tell me one MP, one councillor that has consistently raised issues within the black community, has been prevalent in the community, and has been a constant beacon and a foghorn for the issues in the community. You just tell me one. Someone can, even the listeners, anybody.
There's no incentive to do that though.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. There's no incentive to do it. The only incentive is that the community is being used at this moment for their own political gain. That's it. That's all it comes down to. They don't care. They don't care about us.
I mean, could it be argued then, though, that the black people who do have conservative values don't necessarily have racial politics, or necessarily seem to see themselves as necessarily quote unquote black, and more see themselves as an economic figure, an economic cell trying to, excel within the capitalist society?
Well, it goes back to what I said about selling out.
Mm.
I'm black first. I'm black first. I'm sorry, but that's what I am. I'm black first. Everything else comes second to me. And if you're really willing to turn your back or turn a blind eye onto what's going on in your community, then you know what? I couldn't really comment on that and just say you're a disgrace. You're an actual disgrace, because you're in a position where your voice can be heard, where you can be a leader and an influencer, but you minimize yourself, or you choose to turn a blind eye to the issues that are going on. And as a result, I mean, I see it a lot myself. I see the way some older black people will look at younger black people in disgust and dismay.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Okay, case in point. 2 weeks ago, I was in Shoreditch, and I was at a work event, and as I was leaving the event, I seen a group of 3 young people, and I seen a black lady, and with flanked by 2 white people. Now, this is what really made me sad. This lady walked past these black people, and she made a comment. She made a comment about these young people. Not a positive comment, a very negative comment. And for me,
Let's
this
hear it.
really just epitomized. Can I say it on the platform?
If taught the things them, fam. I mean, fam. Taught the things them, brother.
Real talk, man. Cool. Listen, I'll hit it, because you know what? This is the realest platform. So let's go for it. She was walking past, right, and she said this to these 2 white guys. She says, "I really wish I was white, because these young black people make me ashamed to be black." Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Can you imagine? But this is the reality. This is the reality. It's more than a mad thing. It's sad. It's sad that people are willing to turn their back on their own race and wish a different race upon themselves, because they feel so disappointed with their community. The fact is you have to shoulder a level of that responsibility.
I would say there's only a problem in that if that is, I don't know. Like, it's open. It's probably a question I'm asking at the same time. I would say it's only an issue if that's a sizable or even an influential portion of the community. You get me? Cause I believe that every different community you're gonna get some washouts. You get me? That ain't really fucking with the mainstream set of people there. You get me? I don't think it'll stop. Like, I just believe that there needs to be a nucleus of people that's dedicated. Like, man, like you don't know them still, but you get to learn them still. Man, like Rap Raven, everything that comes out his mouth is black betterment building. If it ain't black betterment building, he's not interested in it. So from there's a nucleus like that that's dedicated to improving the well-being and the living standard, quality of life for black people, by black people, then what anybody else is doing outside of that ain't really gonna have an impact on man. You get me?
Of course, but look, okay, perfect example, James Cleverly. You know who James Cleverly is?
No.
Conservative, head of Conservative Party.
Yes. You know what race he is, right?
Black guy, yeah.
Yeah, he's a black man.
What did you say? Hey, stick a pin, because it sounded like you said, what were you going to say, a mixed race before that?
Yeah, he's a mixed race black man.
It's a mixed race black
Does it
man.
make he's
He said it don't make no difference.
black man.
It don't
Not,
make no
not to me.
difference.
Listen,
Not to me personally, but
he's
I
a
don't
man.
think he does. But I'm not even sure if he's mixed race. That's the thing, isn't it? That's how I had to stop, because I wasn't even sure. Because you know how everyone thinks Raven's mixed race, but he ain't mixed race. So sometimes you have to just stop and like, right, you don't even know.
So he's a black conservative. He's got African origins. He's African descent. All right.
Okay.
Perfect case in point. You just talked about Rap Raven and talking about the black
Black
nucleus,
bear man.
right?
Yeah.
What's James Cleverly doing with his position? Tell me what he's doing. You know, we're talking about prominent people in powerful positions who can be voices, who can be leaders, but they don't care about our community. And I keep going back to it. They don't care. The Conservative Party do not care. They don't recognize poor black people. They don't recognize what's going on the streets of London because they're so out of touch with it. They've removed themselves from it. They see crime as a poor people issue. That's what it is. You said it earlier on perfectly. Poor people committing crimes and rich people prospering. Absolutely.
I mean, other than obviously the egregious claims about Spac Nation, right? Don't you think that the black church in general has to face some criticisms in regards to ignoring community issues? Then,
absolutely. But the question is why though? Why are they ignoring the issues? Is it out of fear? Is it out of fear of really getting involved and trying to understand? Is it actually ignorant? I wouldn't even call it ignorance, because ignorant means you're unaware. It's arrogance. Is it a level of arrogance of actually they know what's going on, but actually they don't want the problem? They're not interested. They say they are. They say all the right things, but actually when it comes down to it, they don't want to do that. You know, it's people who have had to go through the shit are the people that are really trying to give back. People who have known that life, people who have come out of jail, who maybe have committed crimes, to actually see, you know what, I want better, not just for myself, but I want better for these young people. Why do people have to go through negativity and have to go through hardship in order to want to give back? Why do we have to be that kind of people? You know, my mum used to say, my mum and my grandma used to say this to me when I was growing up. They said, those that don't hear will feel.
Yeah, I heard that.
And I feel like that is one life lesson within our black community that seems to just constantly keep going around.
You're saying after that you correct your behavior, or you feel some licks after that, innit?
Of course. But the thing is that we talk about it over and over again, but it doesn't change anything. And it's only until things happen that people start to wake up and start to pay attention. And that's the sad thing. Why is not the power of word of mouth anymore good enough? Why is my experience of what I've gone through not enough to avert somebody else to stop living that life, or to start down that life of crime or whatever it may be?
You know what I think that? Let me just introduce Witness on the panel as well. Still, one brother just jumped in. Peace to Witness. He's on.
Hello,
regular
Leon.
Yeah, man. Welcome.
How are you doing?
Peace, brother.
How are you doing?
Respect.
I came in just to ask you a question,
Respect,
Leon.
man.
Hi.
To me.
Yes.
And before you do,
Witness.
Say, give me 1 sec, fam. Before you ask your question, let me just continue saying what I was saying. The reason I feel man don't take reasoning too much again, like in terms of what I noticed from children, from parents to children, there doesn't seem to be. This is probably just my own personal experience, because I can't speak for everybody that I don't know. You get me? But it doesn't seem to be a desire to explain things past like deep questions and that past just because I said so. So if a youth asking a question, the parent might think that the youth's being mischievous or rude, or the parent might not even directly know the answer to the question, but they're telling them do something because I said so. If you wants to know like why though, they might think you shouldn't even ask why, just do it. I'm saying we need to. I believe that we should encourage critical thinking. We should encourage youths to think and outthink their parents, because one day they're supposed to be a better version of their parents. You get me? So I'm looking at like if I'm talking to you and I give them some instruction and they don't want to do it, I'm saying if you can think of a reason why you shouldn't do it, that's better than the reason I'm telling you to do it, then we'll go along with that. because then you're encouraging them to think creatively and to think of more effective or more efficient ways of solving whatever problems it is that they're faced with. You get me? But parents are fast to say, don't talk back to your parents. Just, I'm telling you to do something, just do it. You get me? So then the youth don't even want to entertain reasoning again after that. They just think it's a thing of might is right. This why I feel like we witness so much violence on the road. This is partially a contributing factor to it, that they don't want to have as children. They ain't been prone to having intellectual arguments. It's a more of, because I'm bigger than you, and if you don't do it, like you said, if you don't air, you're gonna feel in it. So I feel like while the youths that are young, while we got power over them physically, we should let them know that they've got the ability to change our minds if they can out reason us and encourage that reasoning. You get me? Yeah.
Of course.
I know that's a bit long-winded still, but yeah.
No. Bro, I totally agree. I totally agree with what you're saying. But I also think at the same time, we've got to look at unemployment. We've got to look at racism within the community, inequality and poverty. And we've also, I think you hit the nail on the head. And I touched it earlier. You know, young people, you know, the idea of, we call it the hood. Morality doesn't have a place in the hood today. Standing out and being different from the crowd doesn't have a place in the hood. Okay? And the truth is how I see it, is this generation doesn't have any respect for the elders. They believe what they see, what they feel, what they think is right, and that is only right. And you're right. Maybe might is right. You're absolutely right. Maybe that is the case. And it is about creative thinking, and it's about giving the young people the opportunity to express themselves in whatever way that may be. And this is why I mean, even comes down to things like drill music, another thing that's entrenched in our community, which is just further just pushing. Hello,
Yeah.
yo,
Your man's air still. You
can
can
you
hear
hear
me?
me?
Yeah. You can't hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you. But this is
Okay.
just another thing that's affecting our community.
Mhm.
And I think it's not just one thing that we need to tackle. There's numerous issues within our community, but we need to be strategic about it. We need to look at what are the main causes for these issues within our community. Is it a mindset? Is it racial inequality? Is it poverty? Is it children coming from broken homes? Is it the fact that I read a report where I met the head of the National Prison Service about a month and a half ago now. And I was quite shocked to learn that over 50% of young people and young offenders have been in care. A
Mm.
reality, a shocking, stark fact. But this is what we need to look at. Young black people are at a disadvantage. We have to understand and accept that. So the question then becomes is, what can we do? What do we need to do in order to give them every opportunity to succeed as the so-called underdog? Because that's what they are. Minority ethnics are underdogs. So what do we need to do? We need to empower these young people, because if we're not empowering these young people, all we're doing is supporting their downfall, because their mentality is wrong. It's not correctly set. And I said this to you even on the interview. The way that today's generation is very now, now, now. What they want it instantly. It's a very entitled mindset. When they
Mhm.
see someone else have something, they think they should have that as well. They don't understand the journey of what it's taken for somebody to get and to attain that.
Mhm.
And this is
Very
where the
true.
power of, and this is what I keep saying about your channel and the power of it, and the real people that are coming on to talk about their real life experiences and actually sharing the reality of what it is to go through. You know, when people are rich, do they really talk about being poor? You know, me personally, right? I put my story out there. I'm a care leaver myself. I spent 13 years of my life in care.
Yeah.
They told me, that by the time I'd be 21, I'd either be in prison, I'd be a drug addict, or I'd be dead.
Martin.
Those were my prospects in life. But what they didn't tell me is that people from my situation also succeeded. Most of us have got an iPhone, no? Did you
Mhm.
know that the man that created iPhone, Steve Jobs, he came from care? One of the funniest men to ever take the stage, Eddie Murphy, he was in care. So there's people who have triumphed in the face of adversity, whose stories will never really get put out there unless people do their research, unless people really go out and talk about it. Because we as people today are programmed to accept negative affirmation over positive affirmation.
Most
It's a
definitely.
fact. If I say to you now, I really like your YouTube channel, but I think you've got a big head. What's the one thing you're gonna hold on to? Not that I think you've got a wicked YouTube channel, but the fact that I've said you've got a big head.
No, I'm different still. I'm
And this is
unique.
what we're talking about.
I'm unique.
Bro, I'm
all of them.
sure you
All of them. This is roll off my shoulder, fam. It's nothing. I was saying no, and I keep my comment
I'm sure
section
maybe
unmoderated. Man, diss me all the while, fam. It's nothing. Get over that.
I'm
Hey,
sure, bro,
I
I'm
hear what you're
sure for
saying
you
still. I hear
that's
what you're
the
saying
case.
still.
But
More time
for a
people focus on
majority of
focus on the
people,
worst thing.
of course.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I keep saying. It's about a mentality shift. This is what it
Mm-hmm.
really comes down to, is a mentality shift. We have to start challenging the mindsets. We have to start changing perceptions, changing the perceptions of how people view young people. You know, this fear that people have of young people. We need to change that. But most importantly, I keep saying it, we have to empower our young people. We have to show that this black community is better than what's being portrayed in the news, the media, social media, in real life. We have to do better. We have to do more. Because if we don't, I worry about having children and growing them in today's society. I worry. Because when I was growing up, I was never afraid of being stabbed. Because when I grew up, if I had an issue with someone, you'd have a little dust up, you'd shake hands, and it would be finished. Nowadays, kids are getting stabbed over the most silliest of things. And for me, that's a real issue. And what about these young people who are victims of crime that turn out to become perpetrators of crime? It's so deep and it's so entrenched. And we have to look at it from a really unbiased perspective. But we have to look at it with a perspective of, we are passionate and we are driven to try and cultivate and create change. Because if we don't, it's as I said to you, this generation will become lost. And I worry that this generation is raising the next generation. And if we're already losing a grip on this generation, where the hell are we going to be with the next generation?
Mm-hmm. We'll talk. We'll talk, fam. Hey, I'm gonna let Witness come in now still. 'Cause I know you wanted to ask a question still, Witness.
Yes, I wanted to ask you, all this talk about Spac Nation. Has anyone
Yeah.
actually got any concrete evidence, or is it just hearsay and conjecture?
Milo, you
Sorry,
wanna
I
address
didn't
that?
catch that. Sorry.
He said
So
Spac
I didn't.
Nation. He said, has anybody
Has
got
anyone?
concrete evidence,
Hmm,
or is it speculation? And what do you say,
yeah,
conjecture?
conjecture. Can the guy be taken to court at all, or is because
Okay,
I'm
so first of all, it's not conjecture, it's fact. And we're talking about people's witness statements, and this is what it is: witness statements of personal accounts of what they've gone through. Can they take who to court? Spac Nation, Toby to court, individuals to court? It's a bit of a broad question. Can you
when I say Spac
kind
Nation,
of
can they
zone in on
take
what you're
the
asking?
head pastor? I've forgotten his name, the Yoruba man, the head
Toby.
pastor. Yeah, yeah.
Toby. Yes, they can. Yes, they can. And but it's going to take people to step out from the shadows. That's what it's going to take. It's going to take people to be brave. It's going to take people who have been and are still entrenched in Spac Nation to step out. Um, I think that will they do that? I don't know, but I think what people need to be aware of is Toby's going to Nigeria in Christmas. That's a fact, and I don't think he's coming back. So the question is will he ever be held to account to what he's done? Probably not. But we've
I know he's
allowed
going
this
to
to
Nigeria.
happen.
I know he's going to Nigeria in Christmas.
I was gonna say that is wild.
That's a fact. I know this. I've heard it personally come out of his mouth.
When?
He's
What,
going to
did he
Nigeria at
state? Did he
Christmas.
state it publicly? What? Did he state it publicly
He
or what? A
state he
private
stated
conversation?
it. He's no. He stated it on a private Periscope.
Okay.
I'm still within their private Periscope.
Okay.
So even though I don't partake within the church, I'm still involved in what's going on. And this is why I'm trying to make sure that this stays relevant and that what we're talking about really does reach every possible corner. But yeah, he's going to Nigeria at Christmas. And I doubt that he'll come back, especially with the backlash that Spac Nation's faced. Um,
What you
I
saying?
think with what's
He
going
knows
on
it's
with,
all going downhill from here.
Of course, and you can see that. Listen, the moment you're making the Sunday Guardian, the moment you're in the Daily Mail, the moment the Met Internal Fraud Investigation Unit's looking at you, the moment HSBC and Barclays have made, I think in total nearly 163 reports from what I was led to believe. 100, no, 160, 167. Let me stand corrected. 167 reports have been made to the police. Stephen Reed, the shadow minister, has also made a personal referral to the Metropolitan Police. This place is falling down, and he knows it. And he's hanging on. He's literally hanging on. But will he be held to account? Only the people who deal with Toby on a regular basis, have personal dealings with him, can only decide that. Yes, there are people within the church that have been manipulated by people in the position of pastor. But as I said earlier, Toby's been smart enough to not put his name against certain things. And they
When,
refer to themselves as generals.
when you say manipulated, what manipulation? To give money? To give
To give
loans?
money,
Hmm.
but it's past that. It's emotional, it's physical. We're talking about young women who are sleeping with pastors for pastors' own gain. We're talking about young people who, and I
When you
don't want
say
to say it
sleeping, were they
because,
raped? Did they give consent? I mean, how does it? Because I'm trying to figure out how can we how can something be stuck on him that this is bad, this is what you've done? Because if people are giving money, that's not a criminal offense.
okay, okay. I'm gonna talk to you about one thing, especially the balance sheet. Have you seen their balance sheet for the year?
No, I haven't. I have to admit that.
Oh, okay. Um, I can send that over to you now if you want, just to have a little quick browse on it. But if you have a
Yeah.
look at it, you'll see that
If you can send a link,
last
I'll
year,
get it up still.
yeah, all right, I'll send that over now. Right, last year they had takings or total earnings of just under £700,000. They released their accounts for this year at just over 1.12 million. Now, if you have a look at that balance sheet, you'll see health and safety, I think, racked up nearly £80,000. Yet their physical assets are less than £4,500. What we call that is creative accounting, which is also called fraud. Okay, that's basically what's going on, and he's aware of what's going on. But what he's trying to do is distance himself. But people aren't stupid, and the thing is that I'm not a police officer. Okay, I'm not a internal fraud investigator. But these people who do this as a day in day out job are very well aware of how these people operate. Just because his name isn't on a piece of paper, that doesn't mean he hasn't exerted influence or he hasn't been involved or had knowledge of what's been going on. So, when you said about young women and sleeping with pastors, was it
Yes.
consent? Was it not? To address that, you're talking about vulnerable people who have got nowhere to live, being offered accommodation in exchange for sex. So, would you not? Maybe you wouldn't constitute that as rape, but what would you constitute as? I'd constitute that as sexual assault, sexual coercion,
Yeah,
which for me
but
is
is that is
is a
that
form of
illegal
rape.
though? I mean, because rape is down to consent. If someone's been taken against their will, that's consent. If a woman says, "Look, this guy coerced me into sleeping with him," is that a criminal offense?
Of course it is.
Is there a law
Of
that
course it
says?
is. Because
But then, what would you define as coercion? I don't understand. This is the thing. Because if we need to
well,
get, if you want to get something to stick on this guy, it has to be straightforward. Like if you say the fraud thing, then there's got to be someone who's working in the accounts department who can say, right, this was what was done, this is how it was done, in order for it to stick and for them to investigate him. Or else it just becomes like rumors and the guy just sails off into the sunset. It's like, yeah, whatever, it's just rumors. So it's like the same thing with the girls. There has to be some, like, I'll give you an example. There's a guy called Reverend Tim Omotosho who is in South Africa, who has now been taken to court. Now, I used to be a member of his church when he used to be in England, and he was doing all kinds of crazy stuff then. And he left England, disappeared, and then a couple of years later, he turns up in South Africa, starts his own church, becomes incredibly wealthy and successful. They've now got him. A lot of the women who claim to be sexually assaulted, I guess they have their evidence, which they brought to a court of law. So you can see it now in the news. So I'm saying if there are accusations against Spac Nation, there has to be evidence. or else a lot of this just looks
Of
like
course.
rumors, which will actually work against the people when it goes to court, because they'll say, I don't know, it's just rumors. You need some kind of hard evidence, maybe footage, maybe an accountant who's got some papers saying, well, this was done here and here, stuff like that, or else it's just, I don't mean to sound rude, it's just people just talking. There's nothing. There's nothing at
No,
the end
to
of
a
the day.
degree, you're absolutely right. And this goes back to what I've just said. It's going to take people to come out from the shadows. Now, you asked me before, is it illegal um, to have an arrangement for sex for somewhere to live? I think if I'm correct, um, under the Sexual Offences Act 2003, that violates section 51 or 52,
Yeah,
that actually carries a jail term of up to
yeah.
7 years. And
But
that's me just taking it off the top of my head.
that's cool.
So
That makes
there
sense
are
what you're saying. But how are you going to prove that? How's the
there's
woman going to
messages.
say that this guy said, if I didn't sleep with him, this and this was going to happen? Unless he wrote it down and he put his signature to it. And you've just mentioned how smart this guy is. He didn't put no signature down on anything. So how they that?
But
So how's
Toby is
that
only as
sexual?
smart as
Sorry,
go
what were
on.
you saying?
Sorry to cut you. Right, Toby is only as smart as the people that are protecting him. Okay,
Mm.
that's first and foremost. He's not smart as what people are giving him credit for, and I really encourage you to really stop using that word of he's smart. He's not smart at all. What he's done is there's people who are literally standing in front of him who are doing his dirty work for him, and the fact of the matter is if you're right, one person and I've said this over and over again, it's going to take one person who's within that accounting department to show the real accounts of what's really been going on. Yes, Toby, we've allowed this to happen though, witness. We've allowed this to happen. That's the facts of it. It's all well and good everybody jumping on the Spac Nation thing now, but where was everybody 12 months ago when I was talking about this? Where
Yeah,
was everybody then? Nobody
exactly.
cared. But now all of a sudden, because it's become topic of conversation, it's become trend.
Yeah,
Everybody wants to jump on it. You're right. Everybody wants to chat now. But the
yeah,
facts are, months over a year ago, I was saying that what's going on in this church is wrong. What's happening in this church is illegal. And I call it a church. It's not a church because they're not even registered as a church. So again, I've been mindful to even use that word because they're not a registered church. They're a registered charity.
yeah.
Okay.
Because that's my
So
problem with it is like what I don't want to happen is what you've partly mentioned. People are just going to keep talking, and it's like we have to like differentiate between facts and slander. It's good if people have evidence, then we can get something done. But if people are just talking, it's going to be the topic of the day. Oh, you heard about that church called Spac Nation? What about them? Oh yeah, they're doing some dodgy 419 stuff. Yeah, what evidence do you have? I don't know. This guy said it. This friend of a friend said this. It's like no one's actually
no, I've
getting
got evidence.
hardcore
I've
evidence.
got messages. I've got message. Listen, I've got messages. I've got pictures. I can inundate it right now and flood the platform with it. Okay. But the thing is that the people who also have this evidence, right? They're not the BBC. They're not the ITV. They're smaller YouTube channels. They're smaller. They're smaller congregants of the community who have this, but they're not getting the same level of exposure. And that's the facts of it. So the information is out there already. I mean, there's a young man, for example. Do you know about the Exposer, for example?
The
Yeah, well,
exposer.
I
You
seen
know
that
the
channel since all of this, and just to in reference to what you were saying earlier about you've been doing this thing from 12 months ago. I've only recently become aware of this myself. Still, like
but the,
literally, that when
that
when I went to the to the protest, what you man was doing, I think that's when I first heard about it. Still, me personally, I ain't really been having my ear to the street like that. Still, so yeah, I need
I
to know
Because I
about
understand
it.
want
that.
evidence. I don't just want people talking. I want evidence to get this guy arrested. Because I know
Okay,
I know it's one thing that people do, which is common. It's like they will talk about this. They'll say, oh, yeah, this guy did this and
no,
did
no,
that. And then no one will like ask for evidence and they'll just believe stuff. I'm not saying he's innocent, but I'm saying it would be good if people who have evidence actually go to the authorities and
On that
then
point,
investigation
as I
can
said
take
to you,
place.
the one YouTube page, I think he's got 7,000 subscribers
the
now. I
exposer.
remember when he started off with just the Exposer. Go check him out. It's a page on YouTube. get him up there, get the word out there about him and the work he's doing. He's been on this for months. I've been supporting his channel from when he had 11 subscribers. 11 subscribers. I was one of his first, I think it was one of his first 6.
This thing's serious still.
Because even
He seems like
before,
someone who's on the inside still.
he is on the inside, and I talk with this man on a regular. Okay, I'm not going to expose who he is because that's not for me to do that, and I want him to continue the work he's doing. But does he have the evidence? Does he put the evidence out there for us to see? Yes, he does. But does he get picked up by mainstream media? Does he get picked up by the masses? No, because everybody's asleep to it. There's few people who want to talk about action, but they're not willing to go out and look for the evidence. Witness, the evidence is there. Okay,
Because
and
I
I
mean, I've
encourage you to
looked
go
at
look at his page.
people, like there's a guy I've looked at who talks a lot called TK. I've seen his stuff.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm just listening to what someone's telling me. I'm thinking if all this stuff is out there, because I'm looking at someone like TK and I'm thinking, well, why aren't there like any inquiries or arrests being made or something? I don't get it. This is why I don't understand. All these, that's why that's the only thing I'm worried about, because I've seen TK. There are other people I've seen whose names I can't remember. Because I mean, I'll be honest, the first time I became aware of this was from what's his name? Reggie Yates. He did something on MTV International, and he went to interview the pastor, and he went to the guy's house, and he went to the church. So that's how I found out about him on MTV International. Reggie Yates was interviewing the guy at Spac Nation. And then apart from that, I then saw this guy TK, and then I started seeing a whole bunch of YouTube stuff, taking from Instagram, people talking about it. There are a few pages with young women talking about their experiences at Spac Nation. So I'm seeing all this stuff, but then I'm seeing Spac Nation is still going tickety-boo. There's no stuff in like the news that I'm seeing. So I'm thinking, has anyone actually got? That's why I asked about the evidence. Is it just a stage where it's just, but like you've mentioned, there are people who are gathering.
One sec as well, Witness. Sorry to interrupt. Card True Man seen some things in the comment section saying that Witness is Spac Nation and man's an apologist and rare. I want people to know, if you might be new to this channel still, you don't know my stance in this thing. I'm a man. I fully back what Witness is saying. I'm saying anytime there's an allegation or accusation, as much evidence as possible to get is what I'm looking for still. I'm not hearing a man just tell me this is the case, and I'm going to give my full-hearted belief into it. I'm like, with all due respect, I'm not a religious person, so I'm not built to just accept man by their word. You get me? I always try and disprove even my own arguments. I always try to disprove my own arguments. So I know that I'm standing on solid ground. You get me? I believe that that's what everybody should be aiming for, thinking critically. It doesn't mean that you're an apologist. A man don't like if I was to make a bet, if I was a betting man, then I'll be on man them side, innit? But I'm saying if man's got the opportunity to reflect and do investigation, then why not do that?
Of course, I just want to respond back to Witness. Witness, I think you kind of made my point though, a little bit in regards to
Leon actually made my point a lot clearer than I have for the last 5 minutes.
No, that's fine. No, that's fine. And I think it's important that you're saying what you're saying, because there's two sides to every story, every argument. There's also more questions to be asked, and you're well within your right to do that. And I'm more than happy to indulge that. I'm more than happy to come back and give you responses. I think one of the first things you said to me is you became aware of Spac Nation after watching the Reggie Yates MTV documentary. And I think you've really just made my point right there. I think if you knew about Spac Nation goes back a lot further than that. Victoria, Derbyshire, the original Kevin documentary that was done on BBC Three, or even before that when he did BBC Good Morning BBC or whatever it's called in the morning. This goes back a lot
Morning
further.
Britain on ITV. Good Morning Britain.
Not Good Morning Britain. BBC News. What's the morning show on the BBC News called? He was there on Nagamoncelli and Dan's program. Okay. So so first of all, Witness. Okay. What you've just said there about you first became aware of MTV. This is exactly about the propaganda.
Sorry. You actually mentioned something for me. Sorry for disturbing you. MTV and the Victoria Derbyshire one. I saw that one as well. Those two. Sorry.
Okay, the Victoria Derbyshire. Cool. And there was a BBC Three documentary about 2 years ago now.
No, I never
roughly. And that's on YouTube now if you want to go and check that out. That follows Kevin, who's Toby's right-hand man. and that follows his story. Now, what I want to say to you is this, okay? What you're saying in regards to, and I'm not reading, I can't see the comments at the moment. And to be honest with you, not in a disrespectful way, but I can only deal with what's put in front of me. And what you're saying to me is I can only deal with that, okay? We, as a community, have allowed Spac Nation to get to the position they have by not questioning their abilities to draw in young people. How did they manage to do that? Nobody questioned the methods. People just went along with it. The police loved it. The fact of the matter is, this church, I keep calling it a church, it's not. This organization was buying knives on a Monday and putting them at the front of a church on a Sunday to show how many young people were giving in their knives. That's a reality for you, witness. Do you hear what I just said to you?
Yes.
They are buying knives on the internet and then putting them on the stage on Sunday to show that these are the young people giving in knives. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. And the facts are, whether or not, witness, have you ever been to Spac Nation? I'll ask you that question. I won't make an assumption. I'll ask you, have you ever been to Spac
No,
Nation?
3 weeks ago, I was actually going to go when I saw the documentary. I was going to go there. It's in Hackney, I think, somewhere, or northeast London. I could be wrong. I don't know. I was planning to go. I checked their website, but then I thought, what am I going? What am I going to do? What the hell am I going to do there? So I didn't go in the end. But no, I didn't go because I thought, why am I going to go there? What am I going to do?
Witness is there collecting seed money, don't lie.
So, what am I going to say? Praise the Lord now. Pass the thing, the tithe. I'm not going to. So I didn't go. No.
Of course you're not. But the thing is, this organization goes against the basic principles and teachings of Christianity and the Word. Okay, there's two things I'm going to challenge you on this. Okay, the first being, well, no, three. I want to know from you what enticed you, because you said in one breath you wanted to go after seeing the documentary, but
Yeah.
there must have been something more than just watching a documentary that wanted to make you go.
No, I told you. I told you from the
yeah,
start. I was a member of a church that was very popular in London. I used to go there. I was a member of the church, not a pastor, sorry. What's the word? I've forgotten the word. When you're a helper in the church, used to go with my mother regularly. Now, this man was involved in fraud and involved in sexual. There was accusations of him sexually not abusing but taking advantage of certain people. He then left the church. I always suspected he was dubious. I kept going with my mother. He left the church. A couple of years later, out of the blue, I received a phone call from my brother who was at the airport in South Africa. And he said to me, guess who's in the queue? Guess who I'm standing behind? And I asked him, and he told me it was Reverend Tim Omotosho. So the man had now gone to South Africa to ply his trade. 15 years later, the man became a roaring success in South Africa, incredibly wealthy. He's now in court in South Africa. It's made the headline news. Women complaining about being sexually abused, fraud. The court case is still going on. So I've been a member of a church where this stuff was going on. That's why I'm asking all the questions. Can it actually be put on this guy? So in South Africa, the congregation were able to gather enough evidence to take this to a court of law, whereas in London, England, they didn't do it. So I'm emotionally invested in asking these questions. Have people got evidence? I wanted to go there for myself to see, and then see if there was a way of trying to get evidence, because I'm still cheesed off from my experience with Reverend Tim Omotosho. So that's where I'm coming from. I've actually experienced this type of stuff from a different pastor who's now in a big court case in South Africa. That's why I'm like really invested in hearing what you're talking about this stuff, and the people who are complaining. I'm like, are they going to get this guy? Or are they just going to talk about it? And then he's just going to disappear into the sunset and no one will see him again. That's where I'm coming from. It's not to disbelieve, but it's the question. Is anyone actually gathering evidence? And you've been telling me stuff, which is good to hear. So that's where I'm coming from, basically.
So you're going to go there and get evidence with this. Are you interested in going there again? Joining there and being undercover.
No, I was, but not anymore. I was gonna do it, work my way there, but then I'm thinking, you have to see a lot of the things they said is a lot of the people who go there who become like helpers or pastors, they come from a lifestyle of being in gangs. So they then change their life, and then they are then able to appeal to young people to get them to stop what they're doing. I don't come from that background. I avoid getting involved in crime. So I'm thinking, am I going to be like a Oscar actor and start pretending to be something I'm not? I can't be doing that stuff. I'm not undercover PC or whatever, so I can't do that stuff.
Hey, yo,
So
in the comments, they're saying that.
Let's try it.
Hey, yo, can you man hear me?
I'm
you
not
hear me?
an undercover actor. I wouldn't want to go down there. So I'm not disputing what Milo's saying.
Yo,
I was just hoping we had.
Sorry to interrupt. What am I saying? In the comments, man, am I saying that nobody's mentioning that the church is run by Nigerians? I don't know if that's even true or not, but man are saying them man are on this fraud thing hard, innit? What's man saying to that? True, we got a Nigerian on the panel. I don't feel like I'm chatting Nigerians and they ain't here, you get me? I know Shaka is gonna lick out against that straight, but I don't know is there any credibility in that?
What I would say in the words of my people to the person who said that, that's it. No more.
Give me a translation, man. Give me a translation for the non-Nigerians.
No
translation. When you see me in the park, you just tell me.
Okay, I will.
I'm gonna say it as well. I second that.
You'll say it now, content.
But it's a good question. It's a very good question, because we're dealing with an issue where people are being taken advantage of, and we're trying to get to the bottom of it. And for some reason, like you mentioned in the chat, people are like going off in a whole different tangent. It's like, are you people actually serious about trying to find out what's going in this church to help? Or are you just looking to just use it as I mean, yeah, you can say they're Nigerian.
But man have to, if there's patterns, then man have to identify patterns when man see them, not just because we don't want to hurt people's feelings that we're going to overlook it. You get me?
Yeah, I can't say. I don't know. We'd have to ask Milo. Okay. I know that the head pastor is a Nigerian, but I don't know if everybody else. Only Milo would know that because he's in there. So, is Milo a Nigerian? I never even asked that question. Is he a Nigerian?
Milo, you still there? Take your mic off mute, fam. Yo, brother. Milo.
No, he's gone. Unfortunately, maybe he's lost connection. Yeah, he would have been.
His connection's a bit crazy still. He jumped in and jumped out.
Would have been good to ask him if.
I think he's Caribbean, you know. I think.
Okay.
I don't know for sure though.
I don't know because the Caribbean people there. Are we gonna start claiming
the Caribbeans are drug dealers?
Yeah,
we do drugs on the streets.
Yeah, we're gonna go down that path. Yeah, if they're Nigerians,
the Nigerians are doing more sophisticated crime. Them are more intelligent, apparently. if you go by the crime, if you go by the types of crimes that are prevalently reported to belong to different communities, you get me? Nigerians are supposed to be on this fraud thing. Jamaicans are on this shotting thing, and I don't know about the rest of them still. This is just
I just find it.
I don't know if that's the reality or if it's just the common narrative. You get me? Because you know, a lot of the times, as me and Milo was discussing earlier, when the common narrative is controlled by people that's not us.
Can you man hear me?
It just turns into anything. Yeah, we can hear you, Milo, still.
All right, cool. So you asked me, am I Nigerian?
Yes, because a number of people in the chat are now trying to turn this into a Nigerian thing, a reason to
first of all,
Nigerians.
all right, cool. First of all, if you caught my video, you'll probably see that I'm actually half Jamaican, half English. So just to put that to bed. In regards to this whole Nigerian scam and so on and so forth, I'm not small-minded enough to get dragged into that argument. At the end of the day, we're one as people. I'm not interested in dividing us up as Nigerians, Jamaicans, all this kind of business. That's not what I'm about, okay? At the end of the day, you can be a scammer whether you come from Jamaica, Nigeria, Ghana. It doesn't matter, okay? Is the man that runs the church Nigerian? Yes, he is. Has he been known in Nigeria to commit fraud? Yes, he has. I only deal with facts, my friend. That's all I'm interested in, and this is what I'm coming to you with, and this is why I'm saying to you. You said
Hey, yo,
earlier on about there's no evidence. There's plenty of evidence. You're just not looking in the right places.
we saying,
As I said, and I'll say it again, the exposer,
come on, hear me.
a good friend of mine, is
Yeah, I
someone
can hear
who's
you,
got
Leon.
the evidence.
Uh,
It's someone
yo,
who's got the evidence. It's someone who's,
we're
as
gonna
a
look,
result of his
we're gonna look that up
postings,
still.
has ensured that it's been picked up.
We're gonna look that up still. But
So
Milo,
what I'm trying to say to you is it sounds to me more
don't
than
know if Milo can hear
anything
me now.
that
I don't
what's
know.
going on. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I was trying to interrupt though, man.
Yo,
Because I wanted to catch your point. Can you hear me? You can't hear
hello.
me. Mad thing. I don't know how you can't hear me, fam. Everyone else can hear
Can you
me.
still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yo,
Can you hear me, Milo?
I can hear you, man. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I don't think you can hear content.
Yo, fam, you can't
No,
hear
I can't
me.
hear content. Where is
Mad
it?
thing. Ask them a question on my behalf, fam.
All right, he's gonna ask you a question through me. Wait a second, yeah.
Okay,
Ask
cool.
him. Ask
21st
him.
century, we can't even get this
Mad
thing
thing.
right,
You know
man.
what I'm
Sure.
saying?
Ask him if 'cause he said that my
Go through,
man's
man.
known.
Hit me with a question,
He
please.
said my man's known for fraud in Nigeria. Ask him if that's like official, if there's records that we can bring up and present. You get me? Like if that's on file, a man's known for fraud, is it just like he's quote unquote known for fraud now in this thing, or is it like
Yeah.
officially on record? You get me? Ask him that.
Come. Yo, Milo, is it officially on record that Toby is being done for fraud in Nigeria? Like, is it official?
Facts,
Or is it,
facts,
and
facts,
is it from
facts,
this?
facts.
Is it Spac Nation related or is it something else?
This man left Nigeria because he got run out of. This is what I'm talking about. This is when we're talking about educating and people doing their research. This man didn't just magic himself. He comes from a wealthy family in Nigeria, but he's been scamming for a long time. He just came to this country and plied his trade. He calls himself a property developer. He's failed. He's not got no properties he owns. He leases his £2.5 million house in Shirley. This man is a fraud. It's as plain and as simple as that, okay? And if anybody tries to tell me different, you're delusional. You are actually delusional. This man, he knows how to manipulate and he knows how to get what he wants. He's a master fraudster. That's it. That's the only thing he masters at, is being a fraudster. But it's down to us to be constantly talking about this issue, this channel, making sure that people are sharing it, talking about it, getting it on their Instagram pages. Trust me, if you've got 100 followers, trust me, if you get 5 of those 100 followers to share it, that's 5 more people who are going to see it that never thought were going to see it. And those 5 people have probably got 2, 3, 4, 500 followers. So this is what I'm talking about, getting the word out. But as far as Toby goes, yes, it is on record, and people just need to go online and do their research. That's all I need to say on that one.
All right, cool. So I tell you what, Milo, I think I got a cut in a sec. But I was gonna say I think you're going to need to drop out and come back in so content can hear you, so you guys can talk properly in a 21st century kind of way. So I think you have to drop out and sign back in because I've seen this happen before. But yeah.
Right, let me drop out now. Just go back to the link you sent me, yeah?
Yeah. Just come back through the link I sent you, and you'll be good.
All right, cool.
That's
Cool.
cool.
1 second, yeah?
Yeah. And Shakara joined the building. What are you saying?
Yeah, bless King. You good?
Yeah, that's
We saying Shakarad, Africans can't commit no crimes.
I'm not even saying that, you know, man.
I'm joking.
I tell you what I am saying though, yeah. I tell you what I am saying, yeah. But
No division thing.
between shutting, yeah, and 419, I take a 419 any day, fam.
Mhm.
I tell you that straight, yeah. And the one reason is this, yeah. 419.
You're lied. You love lied.
Yo, Shaka, is it 419 even if it's put in like vulnerable people in a debt?
No, not in that sense. But I'm saying that, you know, when people talk about scams though, yeah, like bank and insurance and these kinds of things, yeah, all that does is pimp the system, innit? It doesn't necessarily destroy our community, innit? So all this 419 talk needs to stop, innit? You know what I'm saying? The reality is the system itself is a fraud, innit? So so yeah, that's what I gotta say on that one right there, innit? Again.
But man, even if you're gonna run with that argument, these men are accused of getting the youngers into debt. You get me?
Nah, yeah, but we're not feeling that. You know what I'm saying? We run that straight. You get me? So as and where that is true, yeah, lightning and earthquake and thunder. You know what I'm saying? You know, yeah, that was it. So I ain't got a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying though that that we have to look at there's every community in this country has their crime. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like we have to look at the fact that the crime in our community seems to destroy our community. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's a unique thing. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we have to look at that
So
and run this.
what's your old take on this old scenario right here? Spac Nation.
What I'm gonna say is that first of all, I don't have a problem like with gospel drill. You know what I'm saying, and them thing there. Like if a man can do gospel rock, then a man can do gospel drill. You know what I'm saying? I ain't really got a problem with that. For those brothers and sisters who are Christians, I don't have a problem with the idea of, because Pastor Toby, he's on this thing about revolutionizing the church, and what I'm saying, changing the way things are done, and getting through to the youth. These are things that man don't have a problem with, except for the fact that I've never been convinced of the agenda of this
Can you hear
church.
me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Milo, can you hear me?
Sorry.
Hey, one sec. That's a quick one.
Yeah.
You can hear me now, yeah?
Sorry, carry on, brother. Yeah.
Alright,
Sorry, sorry. You could hear me. Carry on,
you're
brother.
Yeah.
good,
Sorry.
good.
Yeah,
Go on,
blessings,
Shaka.
bro, blessings.
Come
Yeah,
on,
so
blessing.
I don't have a problem with that them ideas. There, man's not a Christian, but if people are in the church and they want to revolutionize the way things are done, then I'm saying that's on them to do that. And I think there can be some positive with that kind of a intention. Do you know what I'm saying? Now,
But
when I
is it
first
though?
heard
Is
about
it
this
though?
church, say again.
But is it though? Sorry, but
No,
is
here
it
I'm
though?
saying that
Sorry to
I'm
cut you.
sorry, bro. I'm not saying that's this will be a fact in relation to Spac Nation. What I'm
No, I'm
saying
not talking
is,
about SPAC. I'm talking
yeah,
about the image of church because
yeah, but I'm saying that no,
go on.
I think that if there's a sensibility among churches, yeah, to revolutionize the way they operate so that they can be more effective in communities, I would say that sensibility is a good thing. Yeah. No, I'm saying I think that no, I'm not a Christian, but a lot of my family are Christians, and I know that there are debates that take place within churches on such issues, isn't it? You know what I'm saying? And so if a church is able to do that and be more effective within terms of how it serves its community, who like I would not fight against that. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I would not fight against that. At the same time, the main thing that caused alarm bells for me was the heavy reliance upon materialism in the promotion of the church. Yeah. In
100%.
terms of the pastors and getting them off road, but then the manifestation of getting them off road is a Mercedes and a Rolex, and these types of things. You know what I'm saying? And obviously there's nothing inherently wrong with having a car and a watch, yeah. But when that becomes the primary promotion, through which the primary image that you are promoting, yeah, through which to attract people, that spells problems to me. Just what I'm saying, especially for an organization that is supposed to be a church, right? So that's one thing. I think that we have to be careful about how we promote, reinforce materialism in our community on so many different levels. Yeah, so forget the church aspect of it for a second. I'm not into the promotion of materialism anyway. When it comes to just even our music, you know what I'm saying? I think it's destructive, because at the end of the day, all we're doing is providing free promotion for brands that are not run by black people. Let's start there. You know what I'm saying? And creating a veil of prestige around them. Yeah.
Talk the things them, my brother. Talk the things them.
Right, you know what I'm saying, right? So that's one thing there. The primary thing for me though is, since this whole connection with the Conservative Party has come out, yeah, this thing has got to take a whole next thing for me, right? Now the reason for that is this church is based in South London. It's Brixton, right? The church is based in, yeah.
Which
Am I
one?
correct?
No,
Which one are you talking about?
I
There's
saw
a
it.
few. So there's Croydon Connect, which is in
Croydon,
Croydon.
yeah. Sorry, Croydon, right? So obviously, yeah,
Croydon's their biggest one. Sorry, Croydon's their biggest
is
one.
the biggest
It's
one,
not their
right?
only
So
one, but
right,
Croydon's their biggest
so
one. Yeah.
so obviously, yeah. Now, I because I've done and do work with young people, and I know people that do specific gang intervention, yeah, that are known, yeah, to the authorities and the system in South London, because they've worked with pupil referral units, they've worked with the probation services. You know what I'm saying? That, people, they've done projects whereby the borough has called them in to do a project and them kind of things there, yeah. um I am skeptical when I see an organization like Spac Nation receive so much publicity, yeah, consistently over a span of years, whereby I know that the organizations that are operating in that community that are actually doing the work and have been doing the work for over a decade are not receiving that kind of promotion. You know what I'm saying? I don't know of any Conservative or Labour MPs that have been going to these people that have a record, actual track record, yeah, of doing that work, and you know, promoting them. You know what I'm saying? Pledging support for them. Yeah, that's
Okay, can I
not
just jump in there though? Can I just
yeah,
jump in there just a second? Okay, firstly, just to address that point you just made. Um, when Spac Nation first started, Toby did a part of the BBC Three documentary
mm-hmm,
when he was following Kevin around. He openly came out and said, and you touched on it about materialism,
mm-hmm.
but he openly came out and spoke about it. So this wasn't something that was hidden. This hasn't been something that, oh, it's just coming out now. This has been in our faces for plain sight, but people that either haven't cared, weren't really interested, and now just jumping on the bandwagon. And for me, this is the biggest annoyance out of all of this, is the fact that everybody seems to have an opinion on it now, but this has been out there for over a year, a couple of years now, and I've been
You know
talking
what
on
it
this.
was. You know
But
what
no,
it was, fam. In regards to the materialism and no one speaking out against that, I would say that even me, I would have been licking out against that still. But I would say that it could be argued that because the benefits that they was claiming to of being bringing outweigh the bad of, all right, cool, we're doing this glamorized. That was even their argument, innit? We're glamorizing all of these
yeah,
things because we know that's what they're attracted to. Then we're gonna get them in and reform them. You get me?
yeah.
To
So
So
be
what we're
fair
gonna,
though,
yeah. So what you're doing is you're recriminalizing these young people in another way. So you may be taking them off the roads per se, but
yeah.
you're not stopping what they're doing. You're not stopping the drug dealing that happens once they leave that building. You're not stopping the criminalization when they're carrying out fraud. These young people have got no idea.
Now I'm just
They've
talking
got no idea. And they're
in
gonna have.
terms of people not looking out against the materialism and all that thing there.
you know what though, so
If they don't
I
know
want to challenge that
all of
though.
that,
What,
I
then
want to challenge
they
that
might
though.
be
but
I want to challenge that.
they
Toby
might be
said,
able to overlook that the materialism, even though they
but if
don't
you're
agree with it.
overlooking that,
Even though they
but
don't
if you're
agree with it,
overlooking that, you mentioned.
if they're thinking if this is what the youngers need in order to turn their life around and away from drugs and guns and shooting each other and all of these things and stabbing each other, then then I can live with that. At least they're not
Is
doing
that what
that.
you
You know,
want?
one of them ones. I'm not saying I
I
agree with
didn't
that because
realize.
I bun fire upon
No, cool. But
materialism all day.
I didn't realize red bottom.
With baboons, red bottoms.
Nah, on a level, yeah. Can I just say on this thing? 'Cause I wouldn't say nobody was saying anything about it. But I think people have been critiquing the profile of this church for quite some time. When I first heard about it, it was before it did lick the news,
Now Milo
and
drop
it was
out again.
sorry,
I
oh
can't do
Milo.
anything. So my bad. He dropped out. You're gonna come back in still. Do your thing.
Cool. Yeah, so I like it was because people friends of my family like were attending had been attending this church in it, and so my cousins then were bunning it up basically from then. This was before it licked the news or anything, just I'm saying. And if you actually check like YouTubers, there's a number of YouTubers like before and now that have done like, you know, vlogs on my experience with Spac Nation, and you know what I'm saying, these are young people that they weren't on this Spac Nation thing, you know what I'm saying, and some of them they got duped to go in there for whatever reason, you know what I mean. In fact, my partner's daughter had an experience the other day, and she was explaining this experience where this woman, this young woman walked up to her and said, yeah, come down, we got a show, best artist in South London, rare. And I said, where was you? She said, Brixton. I said, are you sure it weren't Spac Nation? It turned out that it was Spac Nation, yeah?
Man.
So, right? Um, so yeah, so I wouldn't say that nobody has been critiquing this thing. It's just that this is another level now, isn't it? So I want to correct that slightly. And I get what the brother's saying, but I think things are on another level. But my essential point though is about the fact that to me, we have to be skeptical when there are people in our community that have a track record of doing work with people, young people who are so-called on road and committing knife crime, gun crime, and are involved in gangs and these kinds of things. All right, I know. Sorry, my son's on one, yeah. All right, cool, yeah. Right, they've got a track record in it, and they're known to people, but one, the promotion for them and the work that they're doing is not there in terms of the mainstream, and two, the political structure who know who they are, because they must know who they are, because they've worked in people referral units, they've worked in probation services, right? And they've been employed. They've done work, yeah, that has been funded by the borough, yeah, in different constituencies, yeah. They've done all this work, but no politician ain't coming to support them and give them, you know what I'm saying, no ratings, and you know what I'm saying, inviting them to no party conferences and these kinds of things, yeah. So I'm saying that there's something up, yeah, like outside of a criminal act and criminal activity and them kind of things there, yeah, because I know people that work in South London and are on this thing day in and day out, and they're not receiving this kind of support and notoriety from the political elite. I am very skeptical.
But why do you think? Why do you think it is though that, for example, that all of a sudden that the Conservative Party took such an interest in these last 8 to 10 months? There's an election coming up. They want to be aligned with the young people. I've seen this earlier on. There's a larger agenda here, but the problem is that the masses are still asleep, right? And we have a responsibility for people who, like you, like myself, like others in this group right now who have that knowledge. You have to be sharing that, but we don't. We just talk amongst ourselves, or we'll keep it to ourselves because we feel almost if we're sharing it, we're taking power away from ourselves. Okay. When you said about being skeptical, I was always skeptical. And then the moment the Conservative Party's got involved within a religious group, whether you want to call that them, because they're not a church, okay? And I keep saying it, they're not a church. They're not even registered as a church. They're a registered charity. Okay, so when a Conservative Party or any party decides to align themselves with any form of group like that, the question then becomes to me is, what is the agenda here? What is the larger play here? And what's happened is that it's, as always, we as the black community are the ones that are easiest used. We are the ones that they can take advantage of the most. And it's almost like we should be grateful for the fact that we've been given this opportunity to set up a party conference. I would have turned that down straight away because I know they don't care for what's going on in our community. And I've said this earlier on. You tell me the last black Conservative MP or councillor you have seen in the ends who's doing proactive work. You can't tell me none. The only people, and it's quite rightly, like you said, are people that have been either victims of crime or perpetrators of crime who are wanting to give back to better their communities. But people who are in these positions of political power don't give a shit, man. They really don't care. And that's the reality of it. So when I saw Spac Nation, for me, I was always skeptical. I was skeptical from day one because I don't understand how it, in any way, and well, I say in any way, it's clear what they've done. They've took these young people from, say the young people, they've took these influential members from the communities, the gang leaders, the people who are most feared in certain parts of London, and put them within this organization. And that's all they're doing. They're now, rather than acting on the roads or within their community, they're acting within Spac Nation behind closed doors. And that's even more frightening because we don't have access to these young people anymore. So I big up all the work that people are doing in the community to give back. But the facts are, when you look at it for what it really is, the Conservative Party have made a huge fuck up. Simple as that. It's a huge fuck up. And I would say to anybody who is going to vote Labour. It's quite simply because you've seen Conservatives don't care about us. They haven't even come out and spoke out against what's happened. They haven't even offered a comment. In fact, the fact that a comment was offered, I think this was Labour trying to do a smear campaign. This was nothing to do with politics. This was to do with people speaking out of their personal experiences, and it's blow back on them, and they don't like it. That's the facts of it.
So don't vote Tory, but vote Labour.
It's simple.
Thumbs
It's
up.
simple. It's simple, and I don't even want to make it political because that's not the point of this conversation or this debate. That was never the point of it. But the facts are, when we actually look at everything and we look at the facts of this situation, it's clear to me. We need to stop Spac Nation 100%, but it's going to take more than just us having a debate here. It takes people listening, reading the comments, writing comments. And you're right, people like TK, Witness was saying, oh, all it is people's opinion or people's thoughts on this, that, and the other. But the power of testimony is people's personal experience. That's powerful in itself. And that will encourage somebody else to actually open their eyes and wake up to what's going on. But we need the movement to be bigger than what it is. Everybody's got an opinion on social media, but when it really comes down to it, people aren't willing to come out of their houses and be seen and to take a stand. And that's what for me I'm sick of. As a community, we're good for that. We're good for coming out when everything's at top of the #1 trending list. Everybody's on it. But tomorrow, when it's not top of the trending list, don't give a shit. Look at Grenfell, for example. Look how many people turned out for that. How many people are still going on about that now? How many people are still marching for justice? How many people are still screaming out for that? No one, because they've moved on. And this is what we do. We forget about it. We'll move on, and it'll be another Spac Nation. It'll be another thing that comes up, because we don't care enough about our community to better our community as a people. We don't care enough. It's facts.
100. I hear you, bro. I hear you. And I think, yeah, there's a lot of realness there. I just want to say, I think I see in the comments there someone called Real Rap TV who claimed that he was a hope dealer, or he's a hope dealer or something. And he asked the question, would you rather your child in SPAC or a gang? So I was going to say, if you want to jump on and put aside his point of view, I'm sure content will share the link. I'm about to cut out anyway.
Yeah, send him an invite. Ask him if he wants to jump on, so they get no reply. But yeah, arguments like that. I hear arguments like that all the time. Still, like, would you rather them doing something? It's like I don't look at a you who's doing crud and who's changed his life because of something that could be considered worse or bad as well. I'm not looking at them like I feel like man's got low expectations of the youth then, fam. It's like they either doing something bad or something worse, as if man ain't got that ability to do good. Like you have to be doing bad. Man don't have to be doing bad in it. There's always options of doing something right in it. Man need to breed that into man's mentality. Like, yeah,
absolutely. But the thing is you're asking us to pick between two evils here. I'm not picking between either, because we're better than that. We're bigger than that. We're greater than that. We have greater potential and better ability than that. So would I rather my child be in a gang or SPAC? I'd rather my child be not involved in none and be a person who knows their own mind and owns their own mind, not led and easily led by people who manipulate them and use their position of power to exercise coercion and to take advantage of their vulnerabilities. I mean, these young people have shared some really intimate testimonies about their life, but actually their testimony they've shared has now become the thing that's meant that they can't walk away, because the moment they walk away, there's a chance that they're going to be arrested. And that's the reality. And that's something that they don't want to talk about, something that they don't want to say, but that's something that is going on. There's young people who have left the church, who have now been arrested for crimes. But where has this come from? Anonymous sources. Because what's happening is these young people, once they choose to walk away from the church, they're at the mercy of the church. Walk away from Spac Nation, at the mercy of Spac Nation. So I don't take that as a question in itself at all. I think if he wants to jump on the live and have a debate with me. But otherwise, I think it's a redundant question to me. It's a redundant question, because I think
I send the link. I send the link also, and it also speaks to them to solving a lot of our problems and what would be, I believe, a lot of our future problems if we continue to depend on external forces to provide and make a way for us. We're always going to be back in these same problems, and we're worrying about what can we do to stop this or stop that or stop this. If we got our own things running, like man like Shakara, I rate man like that still, car man's fully on this independent thing as much as man can, you get me? Like in the mentality, and then building from there, you get me? Man's looking to actively create institutions that's with us in mind, with benefiting us in mind, you get me? From man's got that mentality. From man's got that mentality, then man just gonna, we won't always be running up into anybody else's obstacle course what they set up for us and complaining about we're in an obstacle course. You know, like that, fam.
Of course.
So
of course, I hear you, bro. But I think we need to go back,
man's coming in the chat still. Fire of truth. Hey, open up your mic and say something, fam. Yo, yeah. In the panel now. I'll go on, brother.
Yo.
What's going on?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. What you saying? You was a hope dealer as well, yeah?
No.
You was ramping. You're some joke to you, fam. I don't know when to take you serious or not, fam. Come on, time you say some real things still. Next time you're some joke thing as well still.
No. But I've been there though. I went there a couple times. You get me? So
okay.
It was.
You went back?
Huh?
You went back?
It was like.
Yo.
It was like an accident kind of thing, because some girls were doing some outreach work, and they talk to a man in the ends and that. They said, bro, there's a business meeting. Come to the business meeting.
Yo, I fire. Your camera's on as well, you know. I don't know if you want to turn it off still.
Oh, can you? You can't see me though, innit?
I can't
me?
see you. I can't see you. It's dark still,
Yeah.
but yeah, you can press a button and turn that off. You get me? But yeah, just
Yeah,
letting
I'm
you
new
know.
to these technologies. This is different.
Yeah, I'm gone. Big up, bless family.
I don't know, but I respect.
Yeah, but basically they told man to come. It's a business
John,
meeting.
is
and
he in
that.
or is he out?
No, he's in still. And that was Scattered Mind still, the one who you done an interview with. He just cut out still. But this right now, the one you're talking to is the brother who was saying, would you rather them be in a gang or Spac Nation still? But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
continue on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
basically I went there.
I don't think that.
They said that.
Hey Milo. I pause. I pause a minute, fam. My man's gonna just explain his experience going there.
Jumping. Yeah, jumping.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Fire. Yo, fire. Oh, go on. Don't lie. Yo, fam, you there? Hello. Yo, sir. Can you not hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. I guess Milo's voice scared him off.
He's here, man. Yo, fire of truth. Man can't hear you, no, blood. Oh, man. I don't know what you're doing. When you fix that, just start talking and come back in, you get me? Milo.
Listen, my job. Yeah, listen, I'm not trying to scare anybody off, but what I'm trying to do is provoke conversation and positive thinking, and to challenge that we put ourselves in one box or the other. But who says that we need to be putting ourselves in boxes? Like I said, the ability within our community is so great that we don't even see our own potential. And what I find frustrating is the fact that people will make such limited comments in regards to one or the other. No, man, we're bigger than that. We're better than that. Why can't we build a community based on integrity, based on goodness and trust and honesty? Why can't we do that? Why does it have to always be something negative or something more negative? I'm sick of that. I'm sick of viewing my people or seeing my people constantly entrenched in negativity.
Man got low expectations of myself still. That's part of our problem still.
Of
man
course
got low
it is, and we need to break that mentality. Of course,
man's doing that out and good. That's the hashtag that man need to get trending still. Out and good. You know, man got out and bad already in it.
Of course,
out and bad. Man's licking out against that. So it's an out and good thing. You get me? When man's out and good, then that's what we're gonna grow from. You get me? Integrity. All of them things. There's gonna be the foundation. Honesty. You get me? Independence. You get me?
But I'll say this, and then I'm gonna have to cut. But I'm gonna say this. I hope tonight the people who've logged in, people who've maybe listened for 5 minutes, listened for the whole podcast, people who've got involved, I hope you've enjoyed being educated. I've enjoyed the debate myself, but more importantly, I hope that we can grow from this. And I hope that this isn't just another conversation that's just had and is just forgotten in a few weeks' time. Because we have a responsibility, and I keep saying it, and I will keep saying it. We have a responsibility to guide our young people. It's all well and good having an opinion on them, but what are you doing? What are you doing to better our community? What are you doing to further our community? And that's what I'm sick of. I'm sick of people being commentators on our community, but nobody wants to stand on the pitch and action what's going on. We need to be doing more. And as far as Spac Nation goes, it isn't a cult, 100%. And I think if you can't see that by now, then I don't think you'll ever see it. The evidence is there. Witness, I've encouraged you to go and look at different information outlets where you can further be educated, and maybe some of the questions you ask me, you'll find the answers right there, because the content, the evidence is all there. But the truth is some people, no matter, even if that information is looking them in their face, they'll still be in denial about it. So I just hope that you're encouraged. I hope that we can be encouraged by this conversation. I hope that we can continue this. But more importantly, I hope the young people who are involved in SPAC can find a way out, because that's who my concern are with. I'm not concerned with people who are going to be joining SPAC, because I highly doubt that SPAC are going to be taking on any more new members. They've closed their doors.
Wow, really?
Yeah, they've closed their doors.
Anyway, I just wanted to say, Milo, thanks very much for the talk, the info. I've gone onto the YouTube page for the exposer. So I'll start watching some of those videos. I'm not a leader of a community. I don't intend to be. I have no desire to be. I leave that to the real professionals, the ones who have the knowledge to do that. I just wanted to see if there was any prosecution that was taking place in the court against this guy. But thanks very much for the info you've shared.
No problem. And what I will say is just keep your eyes peeled because prosecutions are pending, and that's all I can speak on at the moment. That is fact.
Oh,
I
and
mean,
before I finish, Luna, stop with the racism. Okay, it's bad enough we have to deal with the white supremacist stuff. We don't need black people leaving racist things about Nigerians unless you are yourself are not actually black. You might actually be white. Sorry, please continue, Milo.
no problem. Look, as I said to you, as far as the whole Nigerian is separating us out by our descendancy and where we come from, I don't believe in that. We are one as a people. And that's all I see. And it's important that we stop trying to create factions within our community and we start to take responsibility for one another and ourselves. But yeah, as I said, prosecutions are pending, investigations are already ongoing, and it's a lot. The investigations are a lot further along than what people are even aware of right now. Keep your eyes peeled, but more importantly, you just need to spread the word. I think you need to understand that this glossy, glitzy show that's being put on by Spac Nation, that's all it is. It's a sham. It's a big show. And the reality is that there's victims to this. And these are the people we need to be looking out for. You know, Spac Nation has caused irreparable damage. And I worry about the issues that are going to be left with in our community when Spac Nation closes down. One of the biggest issues that young people face, especially young men, is suicide. It's the highest rate between 14 to 19-year-olds. And my concern is where is this trust going to be rebuilt? How are these young people going to get out of debt? How are these young people going to have support networks in place? For me, this is what it's about doing now, is creating support networks and ensuring young people have somewhere to go, ensuring that they have someone to talk to. Because we need to be looking at after now. We need to be looking past Spac Nation. We need to be looking at what we can do in order to ensure that the support mechanisms in place to support these young people, but also develop them as well and move them past whatever they've been through. Because the truth of this is, these young people have been abused mentally, they've been abused financially, and I have no doubt that some of them have been abused physically as well. And again, if you're looking for evidence, just type in Pastor Kevin beating with a belt. You'll see him beating a boy in a bedroom. The boy's 16 years old. He has learning difficulties. He has autism, and he's being beaten with a belt. If that's
Sorry,
not
did you say
evidence, I
there's
call it.
footage of a pastor beating someone with a belt? Is that pastor not arrested?
No, he's not arrested.
Wow. Okay. All right. I'll check that out now. Thanks for that info.
Where's that? Is that on the Exposure channel as well?
No, that's on YouTube. Just type in Pastor Kevin beats with a belt, and if you check on I think the Exposer's got it listed as well, but I couldn't tell you what video it is.
Okay.
But it's on there. The content's out there, man. But the thing is that do people really want their eyes open to look at it? Do they really want to put that time and effort in to go and do their research, or would they rather be spoon-fed the information and listen to it to be told? This is
we
the
know the
one
answer
thing
to
I
that.
keep saying. Sorry?
I think we all know the answer to that.
Of course, and this is the thing that's the biggest problem that holds us back as a community. We want everything spoon-fed to us. We accept what we're told. We're not willing to go out and do our own due diligence. We're not willing to go out.
You know what I was thinking though. In terms of making a society run efficiently, I was wondering if it's even feasible for us to run effectively if we are all critically thinking. But like, a part of me is like some of us need leaders. You get me? In certain aspects, some of us I don't believe that we will all have the time to research every step of the way and individually find out every bit of information ourselves. You get me, sir?
I get that, but let me ask you one question. This goes to everybody on the panel. When your children go to school, do you just accept the education they're given, or do you encourage your children to go and find the answers, to do more research? Because if you just accept the education they're given, then unfortunately, that's probably the life that they're going to lead, is a life where they're just given information and they believe what they're told. The news will portray Africa as a poor country, as a country of destitute. There's nothing good in Africa but children who are hungry. But they won't. If you do your research, if you've ever been to Africa, you'll see what Africa really is, how much of a rich nation it is, but it's been oppressed. And this is what I'm talking about.
people aren't willing to do the research, aren't willing to take the time out. You're right, not everybody is born to be a leader. I totally get that. We all have our places in life. We all have purpose. And you're right, not everybody is a leader, but we all have a responsibility. And I would say, if you've got children and you expect your children to get educated in the mainstream system and believe that that education is sufficient and will give them enough knowledge, then what you're basically saying is that you agree that black people as a community should continue to be oppressed, we should continue to be misinformed, and we should continue to be treated as second-class citizens. It's as simple as that.
Possibly, I would say that I think there's another alternative as well, is where, like I said, we can have a nucleus of people that's dedicated to being the head researchers on whatever critical subject matter that needs to be discussed. Send out a team of people that's dedicated. It's like a football team. There's certain people that do one job, there's certain people that do a next job, and we all work together as a team to advance the whole team. You get me? So we have our dedicated people that look into things that we can trust based upon performance, merit. You get me? Rather than just, guys, my brethren.
Yeah, but it's a commitment thing. It's a commitment thing as well. How many people are really in it for the long run? How many of us are really willing to really put that work in and really go through the grind and really suffer and be ridiculed and to be pointed out and to be taken apart? Not many people are. Not many people are willing to put themselves out there for that. So really what you're saying is that we need to really let go of a lot of things in order to really pursue that greatness and that excellence. But as I said, it's a mentality thing. So I'm going to sign off with this. Guys, have a blessed evening. I can't wait to jump in after the next debate. But Spac Nation, do your research. It isn't a cult. It needs to get shut down. We need to save these young people. But most importantly, we need to start educating these young people as well, because a life away from crime doesn't mean that they need to go to Spac Nation. A life away from crime is giving these young people opportunities. That's apprenticeships, jobs, education, training, going into prisons, going into care homes, talking to young people all over. You know, you don't understand the power of engagement. You talking to one person and how that can change a young person's life. Don't ever underestimate giving young people positivity and encouragement. And that's all I would say, is that we need to make sure we're carrying a consistent positive message. There's enough negativity out there. What positivity are we spreading? What positive news can we give to young people? What goodness can we impart on young people? What good wisdom? Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to sign out with that. Men, gentlemen, comments, people who have listened, tuned in, thank you very much. It's been wonderful. And I hope to catch you guys on the other side, all right?
Thanks very much.
Respect, family. Thanks for coming on, man. Yeah, we're going to do this again ASAP. You get me? I respect for coming on, fam. Appreciate your time, you get me? And your input. All right, then. Where's Fire? Fire cut out as well. Mad thing. All right. Well, I was gonna make him give his 2 pence to get me if he wanted to.
Yeah.
But yeah. Other than that, fam, I'm willing. I'm looking to wrap it up. I don't want to stress out the thing longer than I need to. Man, I had the guest to honor on. Who was an inside member of Spac Nation. You get me? Still got ties to the thing, giving his first-hand experiences and his take on the whole situation as it unfolds. So we're grateful for that. You get me? Peace to everybody in the comments that's watching. Peace to everybody that ain't commenting but are just watching anyway. Peace to everybody that came on the panel. Yeah, if the man want to say any closing statements before man press the button, yeah, go ahead.
Just want to say thanks very much for letting me on. Been doing some research on Spac Nation. Just wanted to hear from the horse's mouth and just wonder why no one had been arrested or locked up yet because of all the stuff I've seen. But I'll check some of the YouTube pages he mentioned, like the one with the exposer. And hopefully people who are working within Spac Nation will come forward with evidence and get it shut down. So thanks very much for the time.
Done, no
and
witness.
Goodbye.
Respect, brother. Yeah, just to add a jump on to the back of what witness said. Pause. Man, definitely encourage man to do your research hard and don't just accept the narrative just because it's popular. You get me? Or just because it's been suggested to you that it may be the case. Do man, like we need to get into the habit of looking under every nook and cranny when we're trying to make arguments that we can stand on. You get me? And we can't be shy from trying to disprove our own arguments. You get me? That's like, I think it's the scientific method. You get me? You have to try and disprove what you think the matter to be. You get me? And if it can stand the scrutiny, then you know you got a strong argument. But you have to be willing to scrutinize it. If man's too shy to even question whether what you're saying might not even be the truth, then your argument is just flimsy. Like, what can it? As soon as it comes up against opposition, that's not inside. That's not in-house opposition. It's just gonna crumble because you ain't even gonna have no defense for it. You're gonna look stupid holding on to it. You get me? We shouldn't invest so much surety, if that's a word. We shouldn't invest so much and stand so much on shaky arguments. You get me? We need tried and tested arguments. We need to stress ourselves to the limits, trying to disprove our arguments. So then we know when we go out there in the reality and real world, we can stand on them. We know we're standing on something firm. You get me? We know that we're most likely to not come across any new argument that we ain't considered ourselves, that we've already disproved. You get me? Then we know we're standing on something that's closer, that's more likely to be the truth than anything else. You get me? If it is your intention to live in accordance with what reality is in it and what the truth is. Man can't shy away from that still. The moment we get that mentality there and we go forward, no, can't fuck with the truth, man. We'll be gone, you get me? We'll be gone clean, man. So, yeah, man, them get into the habit. Women get into the habit of doing that. Questioning manself and making sure that man's giving man's best arguments to try and disprove your own arguments. You get me? But yeah, Shaq, I don't know if you're still there, if you're doing your baby business, if you want to say something before man press the button still, because man's ready to bounce still. Shaka going once. Shaka going twice. Shaka raw. Gone. Him gone. I say nothing, man. As I said, respect for everybody that came on the panel still. Yeah. I don't know. We're gonna probably do it again. I keep meaning to do this as well, man. Make sure you go log on to when you finish this video, go log on to the Talk the Things Them Live YouTube channel. Cause that's where I want to do these type of conversations. That's not necessarily Speakers Corner related. You get me? I want to build that channel there. So in the future, when there's enough subscribers, when everybody knows that that's where we're going to be at having these type of conversations, we can have them more frequently, and it'll be in there. You get me? I don't want to mix the audiences. I know people come here for the Speakers Corner videos more time. You get me? So I want to have a channel that's just dedicated to these type of conversations because they need to be added. You get me? So when you're done this video, go onto the COE page where you're on right now and scroll over to channels and you see Talk the Things Them Live. Go log on to that one there, you get me? But yeah, respect for everybody, all of the viewers, all of the contributors. We out, man. Peace until next time. Done.